I haven't done the stuff I'm supposed to do. Yep, I forgot. My gosh, man, I forgot what I'm supposed to be doing. Super distracted right now. What's it 9%? Freestyle. Yo, freestyle. That's funny. Oh my gosh. The internet is shot. No. Oh, we're gonna have the same problem. I'm supposed to go shorts feed. No, I can't bother to restart it. We'll just live with what we got. I'll do this stream again at another time. Go exclusively shorts feed. Like in my head, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, but then doing it right when it's time to do it is never matter. Okay, pop out. No background noises. Good. Right. Don't know if there's even sound. What was the sound? Do you know what? It may not like that on the screen. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Yeah, I don't think it likes the money sign on the screen. We have to change that. I'll leave it for now. Give it a while. Don't know whether it's restricted or not. Things you can't say. No, anyways. Let's try and speed one out of here without getting hit. Oh, I have to try this from memory. Nope. We've got patches out of here, that's one good thing. Okay, go. Arrow's gonna hit me. Here it is, here it is, here it is. Oh, just missed. Oh, just missed me. Okay, look. Oh. Damn it! Damn it! It's just like 2 seconds. £10 Oh no, I didn't do the metadata. Right, let's end it and restart it. Scooby-Doo. Right. There's two. Just live. No. Hopefully that works now. That's about a million, right? I don't even care. I don't really care. Let's do what we came to do. Right. How are we doing on the red app? What are we saying? On the purple app, on the black app, what's going on? Don't. Right, this. We never should have came down here this early in the game without bloody armor. Oh, you. He's got me this time. Damn it. It's too soon, isn't it? Alright, drink. Look at their eyes, little demons. Look, you can just see their eyes glowing back there. Go, go, go. Alright, this is the bit where we always mess up. So, up we go. Here we go. Swap that for a shield or some kind of giant shield that just gets killed. Slow bit might work. Oh no, actually they're gonna come from behind. Alright, this is where it gets taggy. No, no, one guy can kill you, just one. I can't even believe it. I don't want to have to wear armor. It's taking a mech. One guy alone. How annoying is that? Yo, what's up, Jess? Yeah, this game is cool. When you're not stuck in a dungeon anyways. It's great. I have to run all the way back there. Oh, that's annoying. It's not even like you can warp out in this game as well. So if you go in on foot, you gotta come out on foot. Wait, actually, that may not be true because I have completed it. Let's see. No, yeah. We've got to go. We'll go by foot. It's long, man. Yeah, we've got to run all the way back. Oh, what the hell? Maybe we should put on some armor. The lightest armor we can bear. Wait. Black Knight helmet's gonna be too heavy. I don't think that's gonna help much against that. Physical defense. Physical defense 9.2. For gloves, can't have that. Actually, you never know. What kind of outfit is this? Are we heavy rolling? Not heavy rolling though. There's a plus. I think this is probably a bad armor choice. We'll tweak it in a minute. Yeah, super bad. Yeah, heavy on them. Okay. A little something's better than nothing, I would say. What's up? How you doing, bro? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your request. One moment. Hey, congratulations, just Abbott. Did you say you're signing? Signing in to be an actor? What was that about?
Yo,
What's up, bro?
bro, what Souls game is this?
It's Dark Souls.
Oh, I was going to say, which one?
The first one. A remake of the first one, though.
I only play Dark Souls 3.
Is it? It's good.
Decent.
What are you saying now?
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've seen you before, but I don't know. Do you like talk about like theology and stuff?
Might sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. No, I'll just be joining on lives to like gap about philosophy and different things.
So yeah, about philosophy,
Yeah.
kind of subjects.
What do you know about Taoism?
Taoism,
Yeah.
like Eastern kind of Buddhist philosophy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Not much, very little.
Oh, you probably or the Tao. This is the same thing. It's a translation thing. Tao,
That was
right? So
that was the right way to say it, I think.
yeah, correct. And so basically it's really focuses on trans-dual logic, right? Like the Western philosophy is very binary, right? Like
What is
it's
trans-dual
very
logic? Can you explain that for me?
yeah. So classical logic, which you learned first, right? Which you learned traditionally, is propositions are either true or false, T or F. There's no third option. There's no middle option, right? And so that's what you traditionally learn. Even classical computation works like this: 0 and 1, right? And in India, like Hindu philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, and Taoism, right? They kind of get to right beyond name and form, beyond like substance, right? So these things are the first line of the Tao Te Ching is the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. So they're basically trying to just say that the true way is beyond linguistic frameworks, right?
Okay.
It doesn't operate within the binary of true or false, right? It's not. These are I'm a nominalist, so I don't think logic is prescriptive, right? I think these things are epistemic tools that we use to like, you know, learn things and like have a coherent reality.
Okay.
Yeah, but like for example, there's a concept in Buddhism. It's called dependent origination, right? And Taoism, I think, illustrates that concept the best through the idea of yin and yang. If you have one, you have the other. If you have, simultaneously, you gain the ability of having not, right? Like again, first page of the Tao Te Ching, it's like, what is it? Long and short rest upon each other, high and low contrast each other, voice and sound harmonize each other. All right, it's basically something you only know beauty because you've seen what ugly is, right? You need the frame of reference to have one or the other, right? That yin and yang duality.
Mm-hmm.
So that is in Buddhism, they elucidate that further, and they call it dependent arising or dependent origination. That all things are fundamentally anicca, impermanent, and dependent on other things. It's a cycle of dependence. That's why there's no like creator outside like God or like being.
But wouldn't you say that they're monists as well, though?
I would say Hindus can, like some branches of Hinduism, I think you can consider are monists, but and Buddhism as well. I could say you could interpret it all of them that way actually. Now that you say that, but I think it's just up to interpretation.
Okay. So what was the main point that you was explaining though?
Specifically the difference between the strictly binary thinking of logic, and then the idea of non-binary logic, because even some people like don't even conceive that. They think it's just impossible and like, or they're like non-useful or whatever.
I'm struggling to understand the context of what's being said, to be honest.
How do I try? Let me try to rephrase. Because I'm speaking like pure like logic and epistemology. Let me try to like give a more like cultural like religious example. Okay, so it has to do with like distinctions, right? So do you know what classical logic is?
Yeah, I have an idea.
So the three laws: law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle.
Hmm.
That's we call it classical or bivalent logic, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's the two value system, right? It's A equals A, as in all things are identical to themselves. That's the first law. The second law is a proposition and its negation cannot both be true at the same time in the same sense. So if I say you're not playing Dark Souls right now, and you say you are, we both can't be true simultaneously. That's the second law of non-contradiction of logic. The third law is a proposition can either be true or false. That's it. There's no third. There's no other possibility of something else. So if I say you are playing Dark Souls, that's either true or false. There's no third option. So those three laws is kind of how we get, classical understanding of things, right? Like
How does the Buddhist view deviate from this?
that
Or the
that
Taoist view, sorry.
Buddhists and Taoists would say that's illusion. That's a Maya, right? The world of form and name is just our mind, existing in illusion, and nirvana or nibbana or whatever enlightenment you want to pick is understanding, or even you want to say Brahman, right? Because the fundamental realization is that you are no different, right? Like, is a wave different from the ocean? Is the wave individual or separate from the ocean?
You asking me that?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know. The wave is just something the ocean can do.
exactly. So that's kind of the perspective, is the idea of individuality in Hinduism, at least, is called jiva, right? Where you have separation from Brahman, or all the universal consciousness, right? Where I think is where the monist interpretation would get from. The idea is the illusion of separation, once lifted, everything is Brahman, everything is universe. Then it's like, okay, I get what you're saying.
So do they even
No.
have any value in classic logic at all then? Value for
You
it?
know, in that case, I can see why they wouldn't, but I would just there's other like frameworks. This is like it's called the Norman's measurement framework, where logic and truth operate as a measurement like thing. They only exist like things can only be true. Well, not only be true, but they become true when a mind operates with it. Otherwise, they're just mind independent facts.
Alright. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted.
Nah.
I ain't even gonna lie.
I know how it feels, bro.
I had no intention to talk about these things today. I ain't gonna hold you.
I actually gotta go anyways.
Alright, no worries though, Brett. Like, another time when it's like, when put it this way, when the time is right, I think we'd be more suited to have that discussion. Alright, appreciate you, man. Anyways, on a lighter note, the question is, would you choose £1,000,000 or the love of your life? But there are some interesting rules embedded in that as well, depending on what you pick. So feel free to request up or just join in the comments. Either way, I don't really care, because I'm trying to get out of this damn dungeon and then I'll be locking in properly. Oh, congratulations, Jess. That's dope. That's dope. What kind of stuff are you going to be doing? Well, to be fair, the guest never really spoke about the topic at all. It was just I'm not quite sure what you wanted to tell me. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how we got there. But yeah, if the conversation was at a different time when we talked about something more philosophical, maybe. Not to say there isn't anything philosophical about the question that's being asked. It's just not that. It's not directed towards theology or philosophy of mind and stuff like that. So it just depends. But hey. So annoying. This is making me want to restart the whole game from the beginning. This stupid dungeon. I could like try and sword and shield these guys, but that is also a pain. So they can always just stab me in the back. That shield looks rubbish. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I put on a big shield and just keep it on his back if he gets any protection from that. I don't know. Oh my bloody god. Oh my. I'm getting out this dungeon today, I promise. I shouldn't have come down here too soon. There's another way out, but we can't go that way yet because we're blocked. Super annoying. Sup, Jared? How you doing, bro? What do you pick? What do you choose, and why? Oh, thank you. I think so. Send me a heart, me. Appreciate that, bro. Love of your life. Why though? What are the reasons? What's up, Brian?
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
What's up, bro?
Hey, it's a little bit too much to tag, but so a few things. One, nobody's about to talk about your money when you're unalived in a casket. They're gonna talk about the type of person that you are. Love of your life. Somebody who loves you, bro, and respects you and willing to build with you. You can learn financial stability with that person that you love, right? You can grow with that person. For somebody who's gonna love you for all of you, bro, your faults included, right? That to me is the most important thing.
I have a question.
Because I've been married for like I'm going on 11 years, and
hey, congratulations.
Thank you, brother. And I can tell you, we're not the same people as we were when we married, but as we grow and we learn, we continue to show how much we love each other, and that love doesn't change. So I'd rather have a love of my life, and if I come up with $1 million, at least I know she was with me when I was broke or medium class, or whatever the case is. She'd be with me after the money.
Oh, you'd hope so, but yeah, that does make more sense. But a question I do have for you is that the first thing you said is Nobody's gonna care about your $1 million when you're dead. They're just gonna talk about what kind of person you are. Why do you care about what people say when you're dead?
Because that's your legacy.
Really?
It's not more so. It's not more so that I care, right? But in the words of Scarface, all you got is your name and your balls, right? So
You kind of. Do you even really have your name? I don't think you chose it.
probably not, but but like realistically, right? Like that's how we know about our ancestors. That's how we know about how we got here. Specifically when it comes to Black people in our history, right? Like we treasure. I think we treasure the stories that are told about us when we're gone because that's how we continue to live, right? Like we have a lot of folk stories when it comes to our ancestors and our family members and just within the Black diaspora within itself. And I think with that is the most important thing.
But you could also say, given the context of being Black and the history that's actually went down, we're also quite cognizant of the fact that people lie about the past too.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's always definitely about fact checking. Like for like example for me, my ancestor, I have a lot of documentation from my ancestor being born in a plantation, how he escaped slavery, A, B, C, and D, right? That to me is his legacy, right? Like he's a rebel. He escaped harm. You know, he went from North America to Canada and back down to North America, right? Like that to me is his legacy. There's no amount of money that's gonna change what he's done and was able to do to have me be my family was born outside of bondage. You know what I'm saying?
This is true. This is true, but I'm just saying, like, in general, if something's out of your control to that extent, e.g. reputation, then why be concerned about it?
I think it's a family thing. Like I said, it's not more so that I'm concerned about it, but it's like I said, I think it's more like a legacy thing. It's the foundations, right? Like that's how we raise our kids. We break generational curses, but we also have the foundations of our family as well. And I think those legacies are important within itself, right? Like those foundations are important, but while also simultaneously building your own.
True. I mean, I'm not adverse to what you're saying. I do think it's important in some light, but I also sometimes think, where did we pick that idea up from in the first place? For instance, the history of last names and why we even have them. It's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, that's European ideologies. As far as I know, we've had like maybe our first names, but then we went through like the tribe. So if my name was Jared, I could be Jad of the Ibinga tribe or something like that. Like we didn't necessarily have those names like how we have it now. We were more inclusive of we were just more inclusive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in some places in the world, but like
Correct.
for like ideas of like, alright, so you could say this is obviously context dependent, and there's some cultures that this doesn't speak to at all, right? But you could say from a Western perspective, the idea of legacy was literally just about capitalism, ownership of resources and people primarily. So prior to that, people would just be known as one name and who they're related to, one name or the job they do. And in other cultures, their like individuality is not, it's not given great credence. They're just a part of a whole kind of thing, if that makes sense. So there isn't a legacy in a type of European fashion, like my great granddad had this money, this manner, he did this, he did that. I don't think that was much considered. That was before the kind of the inception of feudalism and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but
I would probably agree with that. Yeah.
But in the space that we live today, we tend to think about legacy very much so in a material way, because like I just said, in terms of history, a lot of people are walking around thinking that the victors write history, and it's not even a matter of fact. It's people can lose the war and win the narrative. You know, people can lose the war and win the negotiation and all these kinds of things. So again, I'm just offering an extra opinion on top. But I'm not against what you're saying in terms of the significance of legacy at all. But it's just
I mean, but that's why these conversations are so important, right? It's sorry, my door's loud, but it is to add a different perspective. Because who's to say that I'm thinking the same way you are? Like my friend says, man, just because we all have eyeballs don't mean we see the same things,
true.
right? So it's important, especially as Black people, to have these intercommunal conversations and to build off of how we perceive the society in which we live in, and then where's the middle ground in that?
I hear that stuff.
But I always enjoy your lives, man. You always. I love. So I'm not a big philosophical person because Phil Bros, this app, wow. But
There's no doubt about that.
yeah, but I like when you do it because it's not a sense of I have to be right. It is a subjective understanding and where is that middle ground, like I said, of humanity or social middle ground of where we're going to go into that direction as far as a whole society, if I'm saying that correctly.
No, it's fair. I don't consider myself a Phil bro or even that philosophically educated anyway. I just like ideas. That's all. So like, even me saying what I'm saying again, it doesn't mean I'm right at all. It's just something that people may not know. You know.
No, I agree. I mean, shoot, what I just said as far as nobody's gonna talk about your money in the casket. You know how many people I've said that to, and it was like, sure, I'd rather just unalive with the money. But like, but like realistically, though, how many funerals have you been to, family or otherwise? They don't bring up money.
Yeah, but at the same time, bro, my perspective is, for one, attending funerals, like significant funerals, is like, F these people anyways, right? What was the significance of these people to the person while they were alive? Very little. So what is the significance of their opinion of the person now that they're gone? Very little, you know.
I think that kind of depends. That kind of depends. Like, not to get personal, but when my grandmother passed, she was the cornerstone. Like, she was the matriarchal, right? Including my aunt. Like, it was like a whole. When my uncle passed and my grandmother got sick, we stopped having, not stopped with this, but the family gatherings slowed down. And so I kind of feel like with the matriarchy and like certain interactions with, I'm not even sure how I'm trying to put this right now. Kind of lost my train of thought. I thought thinking my grandma. Hold on, let me go on mute. Let me
That's all right.
regather myself.
That's cool. Is it tax-free? Wait, you can't hear me? Might can't be that. Oh no, you distracted me. Is it tax-free? I mean, I'm not able to tell you that. I don't know, but just for the sake of imagination, yeah, let's say it's tax-free. Let's say it's £1 million after tax. It's interesting that you had to ask that though.
Yeah, see, I think the legacy and the things they do are important. A lot of that holds families together. Yeah, I just think legacy as far as family foundations and the things that they've done while they were alive, right? I think that's a good cornerstone, I think, for anybody. And again, you could disagree with me.
I mean, I acknowledge that, but I'm from the I always say school of thought. I just think more like, right, legacy in terms of real systemic or social change is important. Like, you've changed rules, you've changed you've introduced something philosophically, something theologically to the world that's changed the world. You introduced a word that changed the world. That to me is more significant in terms of legacy than individuals, because we have this type of inclination to like turn normal humans into idols or like martyrs and messianic figures and shit, and we stop looking at, all right, what is the actual impact of what they've done versus am I just holding this person up, forgetting that this person is a person. Like, they do good things and they do effed up things as well. So why should I consider them why should I take into consideration this like this personal legacy? Because really the idea of personal legacy has more to do with, it's just classism. It's like the Rockefellers is a legacy. Elon Musk is a legacy. You insert hyper capitalist family lineage here. That is what an actual legacy is. What we walk around talking about as legacy is more like we're trying to imitate that, but where we slot into things, we're not that. So let's say if your grandma fed a lot of people or like taught a lot of people how to do things in the community, yes, that is significant. But in terms of her name per se, it's not that significant outside of your family. That's all I mean. You know, in your family, yeah, for sure. But in
That I agree with.
our like our social climate, it'd be like, oh yeah, George down the road just like saved 200 people's life, but on the internet, everyone thinks George is a prick. So George's legacy is now whatever the mass decide George's legacy is without George's involvement. So
No, I absolutely do agree with that, and I agree with that. We pedestalize we pedestalize superstars, etc. And I agree with that. There should be way more appreciation of the art and the legacy than the pedestalization of the person itself, because that creates Eminem stands, essentially, right? That creates a logical. It's like it doesn't it doesn't create a safe environment for thought, if that makes sense.
yeah, and then people start saying it just creates like a, I don't know, it's kind of like how you said that kind of cult views, like this person is either all good or all bad, and it's unrealistic. And again, I don't really know how to put this, right? But at one point in time, I would have thought the same thing, and I would have been thinking, "Oh, look, I can kind of like think like Jay-Z and be talking about legacy." But then I started thinking about it like, as a normal black person, like someone without a lottery ticket in life, that is not realistic. So it would be more sense for me to take a leaf out of, let's say, Philosopher Slaves rather than Philosopher King's book. So it would be like Epictetus will have a view on like, well, what is reputation? Reputation is something that you have no control over because it belongs to other people. Therefore, it's nothing that you should be concerned with. Not to say you shouldn't also be like, so put it this way, yes, you should be concerned about being virtuous, but how other people perceive your actions, whether good or bad, is nothing to do with you. So therefore, why concern yourself with it? Do you know? That's the only way I mean. Whereas like someone that's more Marcus Aurelius type, Machiavellian type person, they're like, oh yeah, I must like be perceived as this mastermind, this king, this great man. I guard like 48 laws of power, like guard your reputation, like your life depends on it, all these things like that. I think those people are playing a different type of game to the average person, in my opinion. You know, we're subject to the wider whims rather than actually controlling them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does. That absolutely does. Absolutely does. Man, W conversation, brother.
No worries, Jared. I'm not telling you not to build your legacy. Do your damn thing, right? And I'll be
No, yeah, no.
I'll be paying attention.
Like I said, I agree, right? Because a lot of these things do fall down to individualistic ideologies, and how we perceive what legacy actually is. So I don't necessarily disagree with you, honestly.
Because like imagine if you in life you do everything you perceive to be as the right thing to do, right? And you're always there worrying about, right, how am I perceived. You find yourself in like what modern people call like virtue signaling or social justice warriors or woke. Like, I'm not saying any one of us are any of those things, right? But let's just say you are actually you're someone who's always moralizing about what I'm doing and how other people perceive what I'm doing. Let's say you do everything right in your life, right? You've got mass accomplishments, you've helped mass amounts of people, right? Then you do one thing, and then the world just decides you are that one thing. All of the things you did based on that, like how I'm perceived, is out the window overnight. So from that level, why should you worry about it? You should just do the things because you think they're the right thing to do, and that's enough. So,
yeah. I agree. And morality, I know they say morality is subjective, but I do feel like there might be a certain point of objectivity to that as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I never ever get out of this dungeon now. Rap says a million ain't that hard to get. I mean, depends. It all depends. All depends. I mean, a million was a very arbitrary number, to be honest with you. I could change it to a billion, and then see what people say. Right?
I'm gonna have the same answer.
You reckon?
Because realistically, man, money doesn't really buy happiness, bro. It can buy you security, and it can buy you maybe some form of but if there's plenty of rich people who aren't alive in themselves. Like let's like money doesn't buy these things.
Yeah.
They have everything in the world, and they jump out the window, right? So
True.
you know.
True. That's true.
Can I just say money does bring you happiness? When they say money don't bring you happiness, it's just a lie. Because they don't want you to be rich. They don't want no competition.
So explain. Go.
Me?
Yeah, go.
Because, like, for example, in this society, a lot of women would look for a man that has money. No woman or nobody wants to be with poor people. Because if they wanted to be with poor people, they themselves would be poor. They themselves would not level up. But everyone's constantly trying to find ways to make money, trying to go to work to make money. Everything revolves around money.
Yeah, to an extent. But to say that no one wants to be
Yeah.
with poor people is kind of dread.
In a sense of like, you know, like poor mindset, stuff like that. They wouldn't like if you're poor. It's not like sometimes it's not like in your capacity to help yourself. But if you're constantly like staying poor all the time, making poor decisions, that's what I mean. No one wants to be around those type of people. The ones that are always not doing the best for themselves.
That's valid. I'm not gonna lie, but it
Well,
does feel harsh.
and also money is money with if you had all the money in the world and it couldn't purchase anything, it would mean nothing. So the
Right.
purchase of the thing is the thing that's valuable. That's the wealth.
Yeah.
This is true.
So if tomorrow someone told you this piece of land is worth 10 billion and someone else told you this piece of land is worth 10p, it doesn't change the worth of the land. The land is always valuable. So the money is in a society where, like you said, everyone's constantly working, everyone's constantly trying to live like a zombie. But ask people who don't have a lot, they're still happier than a lot of us living like robots.
True, but
I think
no.
another thing is like they're sheltered. Like I don't know. I just feel like they don't have the capacity to dream that far. That's why they're still happy because they don't really think that much to the point that they put themselves in a sad experience of, oh, why I don't have this, why I don't have that. They just deal with what they have. That's the only way you can do.
You're
And
saying with
therefore-
the people who don't have a lot.
Yeah.
I would say to a person who doesn't have to make an appointment to be with their family, who has the entire village with them, who can live off the land, who doesn't need to go to a grocery store to get milk, I think that is happiness. I think we strive for that. Once we get rich, we all want our own land, we all want our own systems, our
But
own
my
village.
issue right now when you say that is like a lot of people, they move to the city for the money, right? They move to the city and they end up having less space to grow around, having less family. If that was really the case, I think more people would move to like the Midwest of America, for example, or somewhere like in the country where they have more land, where they have the opportunity to have more family around them. But people don't do those choices because often you see people are choosing money and career over all these other things that is supposed to bring people happiness.
Yeah, but that's also years and years of indoctrination. We've been convinced by industries and companies. Me and this brother, the host, were speaking about this last live. They can convince anyone to come work for their companies and stuff, and there's propaganda around that. But you realize when people get really rich, they revert back to that lifestyle of living in their own community with their own land, of their own thing. And I think if money wasn't an object, a lot of us would live in the Midwest for sure. Would, but it isn't just America. It's other countries have a much more
I appreciate you, Jared, bro.
bigger connection to the land than wealth, than money.
So wait, let me just introduce something though, like that maybe has not been thought about, right? So when you came in rap, you were saying basically money can't buy happiness, which is somewhat agreeable. And Renee, I'm sorry, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Rian or Rian? Renee.
You can just say Renee. I don't care at this point. It's okay.
All right, so sorry, I don't know the right way to say it, but anyways, right? Here's another thing to introduce. Even though I'm somewhat in agreement with that, it's not 100% true, but it's true to a threshold. Who told you, right, that the love of your life guarantees happiness? Also, though, it could actually.
Right, it could be temporary. A lot of time, love is temporary. That's why people get married for like 5 years and then they divorce. And then you see the woman stealing all the money from the man because all she cares about is the money.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, I don't know if you'd say that person is the love of your life in that context, but what I can say, right? So, what we should actually probably think about is how are we defining love? What does love mean to each of you?
Like, for example, I think love, the one that's really unconditional, most of the time it's your family members, but even I think anybody in this life can always backstab you. You know what I mean? Like, no one in this life, just because they have this entitlement or this endearment to you, don't mean that they can't hurt you. Anybody can hurt you in this life, even your mom, your dad, anybody. So, love is just the amount of care and respect that you have for another person. But I would still take money over love any day.
God damn, I hear it, dude.
I feel like love of your life doesn't have a plural. You can't have the loves of your lives, or loves of your life. Like, it is of your life. So regardless of if it lasted 1 year, 2 years, you got to experience that. Whereas free money, I know that there's a curse. You know, lottery winners, whatever. Unearned money creates fast track to think because you didn't earn the skills to even do what with that money. So and that's why a lot of people win the lottery for free and then end up in bad situations because.
But there are people who don't know.
Yeah, but
And
I would say
you also got to think about the what is the outcome of something like nepotism. Some nepo babies are like what you're describing, and some aren't.
Right.
But you would say like nepotism, you're born into money. Still, the people around you had somewhat of a, like the people who raised you have somewhat knowledge of money. They can get you used to it. They can get you accustomed to it. But something like winning the lottery is not normal, brother.
Yeah,
So
of course
when
it's
you're-
not normal.
when
It's super unlikely.
Yeah, and also like when you're struggling to get 35p for £1 yesterday, and then today you got 1 million in your hand, it can only go one way.
I disagree
really
with that
can.
part. I disagree with that part. I think it.
What would you say?
Another
I think it's
thing,
context
I think
dependent.
I think people who win the lottery, I don't think they get it in one day. They get it like gradually.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I heard something.
But I mean, like in the sense of,
uh,
for me to make even the wealth that I've accumulated now, I've had to make so many mistakes to know what not to do, what to do, etc.
right.
Without all of that, you kind of fall into like, you know this. I'm sure you know this, bro. Once you earn a little bit of money, every family member in the world has a business plan for you.
I reached that threshold yet, so I can't
So,
say.
like, you fall into these things, and you get burnt a little bit, and then you learn, and you say to yourself, once I do earn 1 million, this shit ain't gonna happen.
I
But when you
think
don't, yeah, sorry, carry
I
on.
think it's the same thing you can say for love. Like some people, they have to date around, not in the sense of like being promiscuous with everyone that they see, but they have to understand who they are who they are themselves. They have to understand how like the certain gender or how the opposite gender works to an extent before they actually get married. Because if they just find one person, they might love them, but that doesn't mean that that person loves them back. You know what I mean? So with everything you do in life, you gotta earn it. You gotta understand how it works, or you're just gonna lose it really fast.
You're actually right. I agree with that because I didn't think of it like that. Unearned love and unearned money is kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, kind of, but here's the thing though, like the view that money has to come with some kind of you say sweat equity or value, like you've traded something to have it, is not necessarily a right view either, to be fair. it's not wrong, but it's questionable.
Yeah.
Because there's easy money, and sometimes people get easy money without doing too much. Like you can go and become internet sensation, internet like really famous on the internet. You get money just like that, you know. And then love, sometimes you're just lucky that maybe the person you've been going to school with since like childhood, they become your love, and you don't gotta work too much. I mean, you do, but not really. So it really depends. Everyone's life is different. Everyone gets to success differently.
No, that's true.
That's true, but right. So the idea I wanted you to entertain is that kind of like what the first guest was talking about before we restarted. He was talking about something more philosophical, but on that kind of point of dualism, right? Being opened up to something like what you would consider like love beyond just a sensual nature, also opens you up to, let's say, suffering, right? So it's equally suffering as much as it is pleasure, potentially, if not initially. So there's that. Whereas obviously money could also bring suffering too, like you're saying. Too much money too fast could put you in a bad place, or too much money in the wrong space could put you in a bad place too. I think both things are worth considering. If we was just like, obviously we're just talking like people who are like kind of virtue signaling to an extent. Everyone's gonna say, yeah, of course, the love of my life, right? But like, there's probably gonna be times in your life where you have to make sacrifices and decisions, and at the end of the day, it's your life. So like the other person could cease to exist. The other person could change their mind. You know, it's gonna be at the end of the days when you die. It's still you that's died. When you was born, it was just you. So that should be a consideration as well.
Yeah. I think your answer also determines what's further away from you.
That's a good point.
Money is attainable. Like to a person, that money, they know that they're multiplying their money, is cool. Like I'll get there. But if they can never meet the love of their life, or they've passed away or something, at that point you have a much more,
it's an easier choice.
Yeah, exactly. And then vice versa, it works the opposite way as well.
Right. So let's say you pick the love of your life, right? So let's introduce new rules to the like new parameters, right? You pick your love of your life, but you can never make money again. Or you pick the money, but you can never love anyone again. Does your decision stay the same?
Mine is the same. I want money.
No, at that point I take the money.
So why does your position change, right?
I ain't picking the love of my life and then being broke and then ruining her life. I'm good.
Right.
Well, not necessarily her life, but your life. She could be like, she could stay rich and just be like you can
Or she
visit.
could leave.
You can visit.
Yeah, she can leave.
You can visit. That's it. Do you know?
Now I'm broke and single, so
Well,
no.
All right. So explain. Why does your answer change then?
I would say, like, this like kind of circles back to, as a Muslim, I believe that as a man I have a duty to provide and protect. So if one of them is taken away, which is providing, I don't feel like I should burden her.
That's kind of chivalrous. It's respectable, but at the same time, who says that money is a necessity to provide? There would be other ways.
No, you're right. There is other aspects of, like, there's people who can provide financially, but they're not providing in other senses. They're not a good parent. They're not a good partner. I agree, but I think a huge part of it in this society is money, because, you need it to do anything.
So you swapped sides now, and Rian's doubled down basically.
She's got 2 million.
Wait, she got 2 billion actually.
Where my money at?
Yeah, I changed it to a billion because it's more consequential than a million. Because Rap was right, $1 million is obtainable, even though it seems ridiculous. It is obtainable. So $1 billion's a little bit more ridiculous. Sorry, continue though.
But I was gonna say, money is also like a mindset. Like it shows how responsible a person is, because I think everyone has a lot of opportunities, especially in the first world country, to obtain a certain amount of money to be successful. Not super rich, like they don't gotta have $1 billion, but they can have enough money that if they were to get married, they would be able to financially and be stable. They could be financially stable and support their wife and their children and have a home if they're responsible. So for the idea of picking one or the other, it doesn't really make sense because at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for different virtues in your life, for different paths in your life.
Wait, can you say that last bit again? Because I wasn't really concentrating.
I said you have to be responsible for all this, like for the money, for your wife, for everything that you choose, for all the paths that you choose. You have to be responsible. And I think money is attainable. You might not be able to obtain the most money, but you can still obtain enough money to support your life. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
That's fair. That is fair. I mean, I don't know. I've not entirely made my mind up, but I don't know whether do you know what? I'll be honest. I'll take the billion. I'll take the billion.
Wait, are you even like the marrying type?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah,
Because
I'm a
like,
monogamous type of person for sure.
you know what I am? Let me tell you something. I learned about patriarchy, and then I learned about the hidden, what do you call it? The hidden secrets behind religion, and how patriarchy really push religion, and how religion is often seen as a cult. And I'm like, if you're not a religious person, why would you still want to get married? Unless you have a lot of assets to pass down. I don't really see the point of that unless you still believe in love. I don't believe in love like the way that I used to believe in love. So
I mean,
I
that's
don't
fair.
understand what's the point.
Well, one could argue like marriage was always a business contract. It never really had anything to do with love initially. So I
Right.
would separate love and marriage on that level.
Yeah, I think it's also a way to get. It's a disclosure for tax purposes. That's
Right.
all
I think
that's
the government benefits the most. I've been thinking about this the more and more. Like when you have kids, okay, let's say like I wanted to get married because I really wanted kids. But as a woman, most often, there'll be times when they're always like, oh, the woman, they picked a bad man. Why did the woman pick this man? The man's gonna leave her, da 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 da. So I was like, if I really wanted kids, A, I could adopt kids. B, I could become like my own surrogate and have my kids by myself and not need a man. The only reason why sometimes I feel like I would need a man is because often, like obviously, it's two parents are better than one. Like if I'm tired, the other person can take care of it. But then I also have like parents. My parents could help me out. Like I don't need a man. But then I was like, wait, I need the financial support. I would like a man for that as well. But then either way, I'm like, the idea of a man leaving me, it drives me so insane that I'm just like, I'd rather have my own kids. And then, okay, let's say I do have kids. I love my kids. I want to raise kids. But at the end of the day, they're going to grow up and they're going to have to support this government. They're going to have to support the society. And the society is not looking too hot. Do you know how much AI is going to advance? How much technology is going to advance? How much the whole money bracket is going to advance? I'm already suffering. And I don't even have kids right now. I don't want this financial burden. I don't want any burden on me. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
You sound like a streamer. I forgot her name, but you sound exactly like her.
Who? Is she, is her name Vanilla Mace?
I think Yona.
Oh, Yana? Or
Yeah,
Yona?
you sound like Yona.
Oh, I know her. Yeah. But yeah, I think voice-wise, but mentally, we different. But yeah.
I have no idea. No idea who that is.
I hear the voice, and maybe it's the accent. I'm not sure.
But let me tell you one other thing. So I was like, if like also like when you look at the divorce rates, because like you said, love doesn't really matter. I think most of the time, especially for women, it's mostly the money and being financially stable. Because if you want to obtain and keep a marriage going, you need money. The money is what makes the world turn round. It's what keeps people happy. You need money to go on vacation. A lot of women want this type of lifestyle. That's why you get married, because you want a lifestyle. Anyway, you want the family lifestyle. You want to go on vacation, take the family pictures, all that jazz, and then like,
wilding out, boy.
and then I'm like, you know what? If all this is just for the children to grow up and become parents, I think the government should just be the ones to have children, because you see how technology is advancing.
Government.
Because if people are divorcing left and right, and people are not able to get money, and the whole point is for children to grow up to make their own money and support this whole society, it's just the government that should be able to have children. They have the children in the freaking machines, because technology is getting so advanced that they could just have children left and right. They don't need parents, and then that way it solves a lot of people's problems. There's no more need for marriage. There's no more need. I mean, you could still get married if you want, but the idea of marriage for kids is not anymore. It's not needed anymore. Because right now you see like in Japan, you see Korea, their birth rates is so low, and the governments are trying to go left and right just to make like the people in their country to have children. But nobody wants to have children because the society over there and a lot of places, it's not easy to raise kids. And finding a job is not easy, and just to have a kid grow up in this societal pressure of always doing good in education, it could be very stressful on the kid. And people are already like unaliving themselves in these type of countries. Like you know, I know I'm just being pessimistic here, but life isn't easy, and we all know that life is a struggle. But
Let me
it just
add.
looks like it's getting worse.
Let me add to your pessimism. Since you said you looked at the scam of marriage, look at the scam of money.
What's
the
wrong
same
with some
people
money?
the same people who've accumulated all this money are trying to convince you land isn't important, only money is important. They tell you the value of the money
Right.
because they have all of it, and
But it's
they're
also
trying
the
to
government. The government has all the land because
Yeah, but they
even in
tell you
America, you can't really claim that land as yours. If the government comes
it's
in
not.
one day saying that they want to build something on your land, you can't
Yeah,
say that's my land. You know,
but
It
look,
don't, it's the
that's it.
government.
That comes from convincing people that there is an overpopulation problem when the entire world's population could be fit into one state. That comes from companies convincing you that your life is worth more than their dollar. All of it is a scam in a sense. And the same way how you said, you know, only rich people, only the government should have children. That's what they want you to think, because they
Look, poor
understand that.
people can have children.
No,
I'm
no.
just
I mean,
saying,
in the sense of
yeah.
like, in the sense of if only powerful people have money, or only this
Oh
status of
no,
people have
listen.
money.
I told myself even if I became rich, I would not have children. I would not get married because at the end of the day, for me, I just think that it's becoming a burden in general. It's a whole burden. The whole life system is a burden. It's a scam. It's everything. Ugh.
I respect that, but I mean in the sense of the reason why you think that are the same people who have all the money and all the land. Like I used to think the world was overpopulated. I've heard it all my life, and then I realized Bill Gates is buying up all the real estate in Texas. I'm like, huh? And then I realized there's enough space in Texas to fit the whole world's population. I'm like, oh, so you've got all the stuff in your pocket and you've convinced us we ain't got nothing.
They've
And then
been
I
doing
looked at
that.
everything else like that. That's how money is. That's how life is. That's why I'm convinced I don't want children, because
Oh,
of the
you
way
don't want children too?
it's
I'm
the way the world
confused.
is.
Or did you change your mind?
I didn't change my mind. I still think it, but I also think I think it for a reason, by design.
No, I think I don't want children mostly because of patriarchy, and then I realized at the base of what human nature is, we are mammals, we are animals, and a lot of us we just go by our instincts, and instincts
Yeah,
isn't
maybe.
what.
Because me and the host were talking about a specific professor that was that unalived himself during a controversy, and we are talking about it like how this has an effect on the next generation wanting to become academics, like wanting to get educated. And I think that is my aspect when it comes to children. And I'm seeing so much stuff happen to people of color, happening to Muslims, happening. It's only gonna make me not want to have children, and I think that's the goal.
Wait, why did he unalive himself?
For plagiarism, like a big case, but it was all based on weird racism stuff. And
I don't understand. But it's very
okay, should I give her a quick breakdown?
Sure, if
Yeah.
you think so. If you think you want it, anyways.
Yeah, there's like a professor, a black professor who he was found. Well, there was evidence he was plagiarizing. There were so many other professors that were also evidence that was plagiarizing, but his one, for some reason, it was on the news, everything, like every other day there's new news about it. And eventually he unlived himself like a week ago or two. And yeah, we were just talking about how we've, as people from England, we've never seen a case of like a professor like this being on the news, or this being such a big story, that it has to be something to intentionally make people of color not want to be educated. Like that was our conclusion of what we think it was. And I feel like us not wanting children is very similar. We see all these things constantly happening to people. Whether you're a woman, you see things to happen to women. If you're a Muslim, you see things happening to Muslim. If you're a person of color,
It's not even that. Like also like the way that children's roles are in today's society is so much different. Like I don't know if it was 30 years ago, but there was a moment in time when children were able to physically work at factories and all this until they said that they were what do you call it? This was child labor.
Yeah.
And then even now, like my parents would always treat me like I'm their servant, for example, and they would always try to make me get them food and everything. And
Get
at
me
this
that
point, like
remote, damn it.
me and my siblings, we stood up to them. We're like, nah, we ain't your servant. We can't do this for you. And I'm just like, if my parents had seen this beforehand, they would not have kids themselves either. Because the whole point of having kids is for child labor. I mean, not really, but back in the day, it was really like, even
Well,
when you
the
had a whole
system is
farm,
designed like that. The system is still designed
Right,
like that. The
exactly.
reason why
Right.
countries need population is to basically feed work, to feed capitalism, essentially. So countries,
Yeah.
it's like what you said earlier on about governments may as well have their own kids. They actually do. That's why you're a citizen of a country. Like you
Right.
belong to the country, so you belong to the labor force essentially, unless you like figure something out. But yeah.
But then go to a country like Gambia or Tanzania, that kid, he ain't complaining about being a child labor because he's just as important to his village as everyone else.
Yeah, I
And
guess, yeah, in some sense, yeah.
remember, we're talking about like if you're fixing something in your own village, you also get the fruits of it. So if there was a pothole there, I fix that. I get to live a normal, like that's a normal floor now. Whereas we live in a society where we do things for companies that do nothing for us. So we're obviously gonna feel like slave, like literal, yeah. Yeah, I do think all of that comes from the fact that we all work for companies that do not benefit us in any way.
Legit. But right, so to the point like both of you were saying about fear of having kids, I think there's three main reasons why it's like that in our climate now, right? So one, you've got like all of them you could really one is clearly a psyop, the others are more just like economic realities, right? So one, as you're saying, how billionaires are operating with depopulation. Depopulation program or plans has a lot to do with like eugenesis or nationalist ideologies. So you've got myths about the Great Replacement. So it's an ideology that's put into the ether, right? That white people on large are being replaced by brown and black people across the world economically. What this creates is ideologies like you see Elon Musk perpetrating online. So he'd want the black and the brown people to stop populating, and you get inventions like Planned Parenthood and all of these kinds of depopulation programs, and missionaries going into Africa and Asia and handing out basically viruses or experimenting on people.
Sterilization.
Yes,
Wait, they
sterilization.
actually do that?
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So-
They handed out polio.
Yeah, that various different
Wait, do
things
they
have
still
happened
do
like this.
that now? They don't do that, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully they
it
don't.
does
I mean,
still
they
happen.
don't. I
but
mean, they
just-
do. I heard like they did some COVID experiments over there too.
just not on the same level, right? But so you got that, right? You got them saying, all right, you black and brown people stop populating while they actively try to ramp up the population of their people. That's one thing that's targeting people to not want to have kids, right? Also that plays into antinatalism, how people will push propaganda of antinatalism, like or extinctionism. Remember, extinctionism serves the top 1%, antinatalism serves the top 1% or the ruling elite. Then the next thing that you see is the gender war, right? People actively creating content and movies and even political scenarios which pit one gender against the other. And then we ramp up the awareness of things like sexual assault, paedophilia, all these things in society. And it keeps people scared, both to interact with each other and to just live a normal, healthy life. That is also designed to help reduce population psychologically. So you've got the economic rally, you've got the political type of far right rally, and then you've got the gender war. Those things are primarily what's making people not want to reproduce. But that's just something to think about. So it's not. I'm not saying you shouldn't take into consideration all of those things, but you also have to understand that
I mean, on
you're
top of
operating
that,
through
like
someone else's agenda.
You also have to find a partner, and the dating society also is a difficult way. It's difficult enough just to find a partner in this society today. So that's one thing.
this
If you
is
can
true.
overcome that, then
Isn't it also a role of modernity?
what is real modernity?
Like of just modern age, people have less kids.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
That's really
We're overstimulated much more throughout our days as well.
with technology, work, everything.
But in terms of
And then also, I heard that what do you call it? Men are becoming more infertile as well.
yeah, that's possibly true. That's possibly true based on environmental factors. That could be true. But quickly, I just wanted to say, right, on that point of finding partners, right. Also, like you could say, the relational landscape has shrunk down into an online-based thing or a social credit system based on social medias and dating apps. So, like the funding for third spaces, as you would have had in the past, isn't there. Even people who create businesses for third spaces like cafes, bookshops, restaurants, etc., they're not even actually economically sustainable for the most part. People who own them have to do extra things to even keep them. So all of those like material realities also contribute to who's able to find parent. Then you think about people who people are scattered within different class systems and resources. There's a lot to it, right? Before, back in the
Right.
day, most people would be like, yeah, I've grown up in this town, I went to this school, I meet the girl I like in this school or at this
Right.
place, and that's just it. But in the society we live today, it's not as simple as that anymore, you know.
Yeah. We have the illusion of what do you call it? The illusion of choice, where we think there's so many people because we're like connected all the time. And
There's nothing.
yeah, something like that.
I do think a lot of people be capping though about the kind of choices they have access to. I think that's more geared towards like not salacious but highly attractive women have that kind of, you know, that
No, it's
choice,
not even that.
and
It's
maybe
like,
one or two men that fit that category. But like
0.1%.
yeah, like people be on the internet saying like, yeah, like relationships don't last because I could just scroll and just pick anyone like as a catalog. Like, can you though? Can you really? But
Our
okay.
attention span is gone down as well. Like to hold a long relationship for a lot of people is hard. People can be barely be around themselves, let alone a second person for
That's
a
a
long
good
time.
point. That's a good point. A lot of relationships are based on like coping. It's like
Yeah,
what do they
yeah.
call
I
it?
think what you said about the small town, it makes sense
Dependency.
because you can kind of predict, like back in the day, you could predict what this person's economic status, how they
right.
think based on where they
Yeah.
live. You can't do that anymore. Everyone's got the internet. Every pretty girl has 100 man in their DMs.
That's an
And
assumption, but it's not
I
necessarily
know,
that
and
true.
every guy is in their DMs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's
also
not
an
going for the
assumption.
he's not going for the girl next door. He's going for the girl he sees on Instagram.
My other issue is
This is true
like
though.
culture, like you said, like the culture is really what really creates, I think, the bond for a man and woman to be together. Like for example, I could have grown up on the internet, but the way that I see the internet, the way that I see my life would be so different from the boy that's down the street that's like my age. You know, the way that he experiences life and everything is so different. So culturally we're already different. And then on top of that, this is America. Everyone has different what do you call it? Different diverse backgrounds,
Ideals.
different ethnicities, yes, all this.
That's
So it
real.
just makes it even more harder. Because I would think about my parents all the time, and they're from the same country, same town, same everything, and they speak the same language. But I find it hard for me to even go to somebody in my country and still bond with them because I'm so economically, nationally different from them. So it's like, it's hard.
That's a really
Yeah.
good point you just made. You know, I've never really thought about that. How like your individual algorithms or what you're subscribing to on the internet culture affects your actual physical culture and how you're
Right.
not able to relate to someone that's actually local to you. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I think it's like a double-edged sword. I remember like the area I'm from, you know, there was not a lot of people who were into creative stuff like I was, etc. Then if you can remember life before the internet, you kind of see that double-edged sword a lot. It's the fact that, yeah, now I'm able to connect to all these people that are just like me, but is that a good thing? Maybe the diversity around thinking was better for me than being in an echo chamber. Because
That's true.
I had a level of importance, you know, when you're the only creative person in a non-creative place, you have like, you know, that's the artist, that's the guy who can draw, that's the whatever it is. And then now you're in a group full of people who can all draw. Now you all think alike, you just alienate yourself from the world in a
Yeah,
way.
I think there's pros and cons to that in a sense, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Oh, there was something I wanted to say, but mine's drawn a blank. Oh yeah. So, what do you think about this? Right. I also think one of the issues. I think two things, right? Like cultural or social changes that have happened in the last 2 decades that put in relationships in more of a difficult place, right? Or the beginning of relationships, right? One of those things is post-pandemic, and the other one of those things is post-Me Too movement. What do you think about that?
I
Me
agree.
too, me too.
I agree. Post-pandemic, like I've seen the way people's brains changed. People who were the most outgoing, extroverted people, have almost become introverts in so many senses, and yeah, people who have never had to sit alone in their thoughts were forced to. So it created like this. I don't know. It created this weird shift, and yeah, post Me Too. I feel like I was way too young when all that was happening. I didn't really understand. I feel like that is my reality, sort of thing,
Oh, okay.
as it is.
So wait, you said you was old enough to remember time before the internet? Is that true or not?
Yeah, as in like just before, like Bebo days and stuff, where the
Bloody hell.
internet wasn't as integrated into our life. And when something embarrassing happened in school, it only lasted about 1 or 2 days. Whereas now, like everything is so permanent. Like if I tell my mum something, Phil Foden will know about it next week, bro. Like,
I don't even know who that is.
like some random footballer in Manchester will know about it. You know what I mean? Like, as in, there is a lack of intimacy, a lack of things being confined to where they are. That, yeah, I feel like the Me Too stuff didn't really have an effect on me until it had an effect on the entire world as it is. And
In what way?
in terms of, there was the rise of this weird red pill guys
Oh
in
yeah, the
one
red
side,
pill Andrew Tate. I didn't
Yeah,
like that movement.
them weird
So
people,
annoying.
and then there was the rise of feminism on the other side, which just exactly what you pointed to before, where it's like pitting one group against the other, whatever the category is. I just think it increased a little bit more. I didn't see a lot of gender wars where I was from until these sort of things happen.
Yeah, me too. I've been seeing that more and more as I
Even me as a
go
Muslim,
by
like I have friends who used to listen to Andrew Tate like religiously, right? And then they would say sentences like, "Well, in Islam, you don't treat women well." I'm like, bro, you repost Andrew Tate clips. You can't talk to me about anything, brother. Like,
They're arrested. I don't know if you know that, but they're arrested right now again.
yeah. I hope
that's
they stay
I
forever.
think everything
a
they
bit
did was
harsh.
for clickbait, and they're actually guilty. Like a lot of people would always debate if they were guilty or not, but I really think they're guilty. Like
Anyone who's doing digital pimping, I don't care what you are, you should be arrested.
yeah, but they would always lie and be like, "Oh, we didn't do this," and they would make like a great excuse, a big excuse about what they were doing. But
Just the
honestly,
effect they've had on the new generation of more males growing up, I think that's enough to give them a life sentence.
No, that's too far, bro. That's too far. Life is too. That's too far, bro. Come on.
Nah, man, it's
That's too
disgusting,
far.
bro.
Life is that's
actually
too
really
far. Right? Trying to figure out proportional punishment to crime is one thing, but
but I would
life
say he's
is
a big
extreme.
mass manipulator.
If sentences were given out based on the damage you've done, then
Yeah.
these guys got a 1,000,000-year sentence.
Yeah, they got a lot of money from all
think
this.
they're
They're like a
reacting
big
to something
scammer.
like that.
That's what they were, a big scammer.
What you say, Suave? Suave?
So I think they're a reaction to something missing, like they're an overreaction, but
Yeah. I
there's
agree.
something in the culture that's missing that they're compensating for.
So are you saying like the market has produced a necessity for them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
An
yeah, that's
extreme.
true. That's true.
In what way though?
Incels.
I
One
think
word
there's a
for it.
lack of masculine leadership in different
Right.
aspects. I think young men are looking for that. And I think our culture does a good job at kind of killing it off a little bit or saying it's wrong sometimes in the wrong ways, or I don't know.
That's
And
valid.
then they're looking for how to get money, how to impress women, how to be the man in their life, especially when they don't have a father figure or a leader in their life. They will turn to the internet. That's what a lot of people do. When they're
Yeah.
lost in their own personal life, they turn to the internet. Like when you don't know something, you go ask questions to the internet. And then I think Andrew Tate noticed this type of like behavior, so he capitalized on it.
But I find it very self-defeating. If your entire image and your message is about, you know, this group of women or whatever, this group of people aren't anything, and then your entire purpose is how to get women, I don't understand what this is. Like, do you guys all want to be under the rainbow, or do you guys want to
That's
do
wild.
something with your life? It's the truth. Like, one way they preach, you know, don't do anything for women, get your money, and then do what, bro? And then get a wife, right? Like,
Well, yeah,
know-
obviously that's the end goal for most people, isn't it? It's like the reason we build societies and countries and like monuments and art, as men, anyways. A lot of it has to do with attracting women or impressing
That's
women
it.
fundamentally, whether we admit
But
or
then-
not. We
Pushes
transmute
society.
that.
But then two things can't be true at once. There can't be the feminism movement and patriarchy runs everything, and then the red pill movement, which is there's not enough masculine men. Clearly, there's enough masculine men if there's a patriarchy.
Not necessarily. That's not true. That doesn't follow, right? Because you can
As
argue men suffer just as much under patriarchy because they're not at the top of the hierarchy. Hence why a lot of
No,
people will be prone to upholding patriarchy because they believe themselves to be able to have the opportunity to be in the 1%. So people be like, oh, the system is fucked up, right? But I've got the chance to be a millionaire. I've got the chance to be a billionaire. So fuck the system. I'm just gonna keep going, right? That's how most people think. So the weakest, like, for instance, I think they've done the whole view of what an alpha is comes from studying wolves, right? And another study comes from studying apes, right? But in one of those studies, they established once an alpha emerges from the pack, the net, like beta male, whoever's just under that, they don't challenge the alpha consistently. Once the alpha wins that the alpha remains the alpha. But the male right under the alpha expresses way more aggression to everyone underneath them, right? So that's how most men exist in the patriarchy.
It's a lieutenant.
Not even a lieutenant. It's just like, if I can't be at the top, you're not getting past me either. So like, so this goes. I can attack gay people. I can attack women. I can attack disabled people. Whoever is just under me, they get it instead of me participating in ascending violence against the alpha, the actual alpha. Right? So that's actually how it functions. So,
But in the wolf and ape kingdom, they don't have Amex cards and, you know, Bugattis, red Bugattis.
shit, they got red meat though. You get it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they got access to red meat.
I do find it really interesting what you just said about everyone below you, because it is this self-fulfilling thing. It's like, I'm gonna look for a group that tells me exactly what I need to hear for me to get to where I need to hear, and no one below me can get above me. It's exactly that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? So I forget the point you was making before. You was like, both things can't be true about it being
As in, there being
hyper-masculine.
a patriarchy and then there being a lack of masculinity. But you're right. You did make a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, like, one could argue masculinity doesn't actually fit into any of that type of patriarchal setup in the first place. It really doesn't, because if you was just to look at the definition of masculinity, it's like a boy and men possessing similar traits, basically, or just traits that define boys and men. But to different men, masculinity holds different connotations. To different women, femininity holds different
Yeah.
connotations. So it's not
For me,
necessarily
I do
true.
believe in gender roles. Like, you know, to go back to my personal like philosophy, I do believe in everyone has their role. I don't believe in like, I believe when you treat two unequal things as equal, that's the most unfair thing you could do ever.
That's true.
In some circumstances, yeah.
Like, I know that whatever the group is, whether it's women or whether it's a certain, there is
A baby versus an adult.
there is like skills that one group possesses that the other group doesn't. I believe that. But I also believe that tipping the scales, if you truly naturally believe in like alpha male, like all these like hierarchies existing, artificially tipping the scales one way only just proves that you're self-serving. That's all about it. That's it. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's truth to that, but one could argue all things that we do are self-serving anyway. Like, as a species, our prime directive is to reproduce. Right? It's to have our DNA stay on the planet. And if you even look into the human biology, like how cells actually function is exactly that, competition to reproduce. So everything ultimately is self-serving. It just so happens sometimes like a libertarian or selfish view might end up helping something egalitarian, like in an egalitarian way. It helps other people unintendedly, but
I think
ultimately it all is self-serving.
my most important thing is to leave, like, we're on this world for a limited time. Leave enough good things, leave more good things than bad things with whoever I leave behind. You know, whether it's my offspring or someone who I've just spoken to, that's about it. Because I'm gone. I'm not going to have a long-lasting effect for thousands of years. There's no way.
Depends what you
Do
do.
what- Nah, like, I think we're moving. We're so ADHD now. People can barely remember things you did in this lifetime, let alone after you're gone.
But just right. So like, ironically, like me and Jared was having a conversation about whether legacy is a good thing earlier, right? Ironically, it really just depends what you do, what you offer to the world. Maybe no one has to remember you directly, but the thing that you offer up,
Things you try- Yeah,
yeah, it changes this landscape of existence in some minor
you're
or
correct.
major way. So it's not to say no one's going to remember what rap offered to the world 1,000 years from now. It's not necessarily true. Someone might have a time machine in the future,
Yeah.
not just a digital one, like an actual one. Just be like, okay, all right, let's go see what was happening at this time in this place. I don't know, you know, just being ridiculous, but
No, I
just
get what you mean.
introducing some optimism. That's all.
I don't think it's a negative thing, like, as in I won't have this long-term effect for thousands of years. I mean in the sense of, if I'm worried about affecting the direct generation that comes after me more, then I can have a bigger impact than if I'm looking too ahead or trying to do something too grand.
Potentially, yeah.
My dad would be a good example of this. Like, I used to always think, why is this guy always going back home, building all these things? And, you know, he's not really concerned about, like, how we're living in this country. And then over time, I realized he had no power to change anything in our reality in this country. Back home, he was able to change people's lives, where people who had no water, people who had no vegetation, he's able to change it. So, though the fruits of his labor there will carry on much further than if he did anything here.
That's game right there. So that's
So
what I'm
admit-
saying. Don't underestimate what you
appreciate
could do.
Now, when I go back home, people, like, the way people speak about my dad, it's like he's a legend. But to me, when I was a kid, I
All
was
dads
like,
are
"Man,
legends.
yeah, like, you could have gave me that pound, man. Do you know what I mean? That man's struggling.
No, I
but,
hear you though. I hear you.
but now I get it. I really do get it. Alhamdulillah.
I hear you still. But right,
I
so
appreciate.
in
I'm
that
gonna
same
go,
setting,
yeah.
right? Wait, but one thing that I just want to put on your mind before you go, right? In that same setting, right, someone you would consider like culturally a villain, like Andrew Tate and his brother, they are also operating with that same state of mind. Okay,
100%.
so they're also thinking, all right, what kind of change can I affect? Is it better to be forgotten, or is it better to be remembered as a villain? Would it be better to be the enemy that nobody can ever forget, or just
Yeah.
another guy that was on the battlefield?
My idea is that the things that I do wrong, I keep to myself because it's embarrassing. These people flaunt in their wrongness, and these people love spreading it. That's the difference.
I mean, there's good things and bad things about that. At least, what I would say count as a good thing is that you're able to determine that you made a mistake. But the bad thing is that you think that the mistake is significant enough that you should be embarrassed about it.
I think embarrassed in the
growth
sense
is
of,
important.
no, 100%. Like, you can talk about the mistakes you made and what you've learned from it. But I also think, you know what you just said, like Andrew Tate and his brother, they're operating from the same the same, like, line of thinking. It makes sense if they were very unaware of what they're doing. The effects of what they're doing is apparent to them as well. And I think we give them too much leeway to say, like, oh yeah, what he thinks he's doing is right. I really don't think that's how things work.
Well,
I think
you
even a
don't have to
social,
think that. No,
but even
no
whatever,
individual
like,
has to think that. But
everyone's going to disagree with something. So if you're a socialist, someone's going to disagree with it. If you're a capitalist, someone's going to disagree with it. Whatever it is, right? It's cool.
you're
But
right.
the effects are more objective. The effects are
No,
in front
you're
of the
correct.
face.
But you also got to remember, and if you zoom out, right, they're really just another set of fall guys. Right? They're
yeah,
another
you're right.
social release valve. That's what they are. Because for every Andrew Tate, there's probably 200 or 500 individual content creators or digital pimps out there that you do not know about. You know, so
No, you're right.
in
They're
that
just the ones
sense,
that did it big.
Well, I don't even know if they did it big. I think they serve another. You know, like how we was talking about the Jason Arde thing. They the existence of them in the public psyche is in the country's interest or national interest for reasons that me and you may not understand or know. That's what I
No,
think.
you're right.
That's what I think.
Just-
I'm not saying what
just
they do
because-
is right. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying there's a
Yeah.
reason why you know about them at that level.
I think you're right, because just because we can't see the variables doesn't mean they don't exist. Like there is, just because we can't see the utility doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's a utility for someone. If someone's goal is to depopulate, then they're gonna push certain things. If someone's goal is to, yeah, you're right. But I think divide, whether it comes to ideology. I remember, like when I told you I'm Muslim, you're like, you picked a side, and I was like, I don't believe in sides. The reason being is because I've spent my entire life. If I'm in a group full of racists, I will fight the opposite. If I'm in a group full of misogynists, I'll fight the opposite. And I think that line of thinking is the closest thing you can get to whatever your personal line of truth is, because you have to challenge yourself regardless of whatever you're in.
This is true. Like, but all I'm trying to say is, right, regardless of what fight you decide to fight, it's in your best interest to try and think from the position of your enemy too. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I
that's
agree.
all I'm saying.
And I also think, like, I was the type of male that these guys would have found the most susceptible to their message.
You reckon?
That's why I fought 100%. I fought extra against it because I didn't have a lot of female influence in my life. My mum didn't raise me. I didn't have anything. I could have fell into that. But what happened was, it always ties back to my ideology. I saw the demonization of my people in such a way that whenever I saw any other group of people being demonized, I questioned it.
That's good.
That's all it is, I think. I think whether you're female, whether you're male, whatever, knowing something that doesn't serve yourself, going against something that serves you in a way, going against it is self-defeating. Like, you know, these guys are only saying good things about men, bad things about women. Naturally, as a man, I should you should be on that team. No, that's not how it should be.
Well,
That should make you.
in
Scrutinize it more.
order for you to actually be consistent, though, that you'd also have to think that about them, right, in order to remain consistent in your view.
Yeah.
You'd also have to think, well, are they completely bad, or is there some good in what they're saying? You should that has to be consistent across the board, or otherwise you're just picking and choosing when it's time to apply that critical thinking.
I believe every psyop has aspects of truth to make their lies seem valid. That's all it is.
That's true. That's very true. I would agree with that.
Like there's right wingers who are anti-Zionist at the moment, right? Would I ever side with them? No, because as soon as they're done with the Zionists, they're massacring us.
Right? Yes.
So it doesn't matter. Like, you got to think further than tomorrow, at least.
Yeah. No. So again, like I don't want to find myself in a position where I'm defending the Tates and the Tate ideology. That's not what's happening here, right? I'm just introducing some nuance to the playing field, if you want, right? So at the point where you're saying, all right, so I wasn't raised by my mother, so I was very susceptible to that kind of view of what they may be saying. If you actually deep it, it's not necessarily true that what they're saying is that women are this and that. That's the patina
That's a straw man.
of what's been. Yeah, it's a straw man kind of. Now, is there some probably really badly critical stuff of women in there? 100%, right? So, like, no one's gonna deny that. But if you actually deep it, who is being affected the most by what they're saying? It's men and boys.
Yeah.
Right, because it's saying don't be this type of man, be this type of man. If you're this type of man, there's something wrong with you. If you're that type of man, then you're good as gold, right? So that's what's really hidden in there. The women are just not to be dismissive; they're affected by it too, but they're like a second order effect of what the Tates might do, or people like the Tates, or people like Jordan Peterson. Like, higher up, or the deeper you go in the iceberg, is the more you realize, oh shit, like. It's not just about women bad, men good. It's something else.
Yeah, and also I think a big way to figure out a fraud, whether it's the Tates or whoever we're talking about, is the fact that when they make rules for others and not for themselves. So this guy said protesting is GAY or whatever he said, and he said reading is GAY or whatever he said.
Goofball.
And now he's in prison. His brethren are all protesting for him, and he's reading books in prison.
Yeah, that's goofy. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
that's just dumb, man. In all honesty, that's dumb. But I hear it still. Like I hear it. Like who the fuck is consistent all the time? But yeah, I hear it.
yeah,
I hear it still.
I think a lot of so the older generation. I have an older brother, right? And he didn't grow up around having like a YouTuber, like the biggest YouTuber. He's in his 40s now. So when they heard Andrew Tate, they're like, "This guy's saying the truth," and I'm like, bro, you need to like investigate a little bit more. Like, you have a wife and you have three daughters. Chill with it. He's like,
Crazy.
nah, man. Like, and then I realized they didn't have the KSIs. They didn't have all these. Whoever, not KSI. That's a bad example. But we had so many celebrities that ended up doing some of the most heinous.
Oh wait, they definitely did. They just probably forgot.
Yeah, but he was falling into like these sort of like team A, team B things.
I see. Yeah.
And then very recently, with all the stuff he's done, my brother was like, "How did you know?" And I was like, "I'm not this like savant who knew. It's the fact that I've seen this play out like a billion times. You don't pedestal anyone like that."
It's a pattern recognition
Firstly.
right there.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly, pattern recognition. But then I realized, like, what about the guys who are my age that fell into that?
Hmm.
They obviously experienced very similar things to me, and I realized they were also doing the same thing Tate is doing. It's like one rule for me, one rule. They might not agree with everything, but if it has enough benefits for myself, then I'll just follow that. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
But it goes back to what I said earlier on. It all comes down to self-serving.
Yeah,
The whole thing
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
bro. No matter whether you like, so the act of like, what do you call it? Being altruistic. The psychology of being altruistic is self-serving. The psychology of martyrdom is self-serving. The psychology of being a messianic figure is self-serving. It's to be perceived as virtuous or is to gain something.
Would you say
It's never
Stoicism is still
purely.
self-serving?
Yeah, of course, right? Because it's a coke.
Yeah.
It is actually a coke. So
Yeah, you're right.
whether
you're
you're
right, I
a
agree.
philosopher, if you're a philosopher king or a philosopher slave, all of it is to be able to analyze life at a level where you can bear. That's what it's
Yeah.
for. So whether there's
This is
good in
why-
it or not.
When you asked me about my religion and like why and everything, I told you it's so personal to me and I wouldn't want to project it on anyone else. The reason being is because it is that. It was for self-preservation. And if it is for myself, then there is no way I can give that line of thinking to anyone else. They haven't lived my life. They haven't like drawn the same conclusions as me
Yeah,
to even get that.
on a personal level, I get it, but on an ideological level, no, it's not valid. But on a personal level, it's valid.
Definitely. You're a very smart person, man. I appreciate you a lot. I learn a
appreciate
lot
you,
from
bro.
you. And everyone that's here, I appreciate you all. And take care, my guys.
All right, so now that we know Rap gets his hands on $1 billion, he's leaving. All right, so just keep that in mind. I'm joking.
I'm about to move to Yemen.
I appreciate you, bro.
Take care, my bro.
All right, folks. Everyone else, ideas, comments, criticisms. The floor is open to you.
I think I have to take the Billy.
What you say?
I said I think I have to take the billion.
The Billy. Why?
Yeah. I'm an artist, so I just feel like I can just marry myself to art. Just like with $1 billion, I can do a lot.
That's true.
I can make a lot. Like I have creative ideas. Like I love would be sweet, but
Bro, are you
you
tired?
can do a lot with $1 billion.
You're very quiet.
I'm a quiet person. I'm smoking too.
Ah, fair. Well, not fair, but yeah, not right, but fair.
I think also something I wanted to ask earlier, kind of about the conversation, which somewhat talked tangentially about the male loneliness epidemic or loneliness epidemic in general and finding love and how we think of women. What about platonic relationship? What if maybe you don't find the love of your life, but you surround yourself with people who can give you that platonic love from friends and family? Would that not also be maybe not the same way fulfilling as a romantic love, but still fulfilling in its own right?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Well, to me, anyways.
I don't
Yeah.
understand with the male loneliness epidemic, like why don't men see that and want to support each other and build those friendships and like support men emotionally, and I understand that men's mental health isn't something that is talked about nearly as much as it should, but at the same time, isn't it also the responsibility of men to support each other in that regard?
At some level, yes, but I think context is important, you know. And you also got to consider individuality of the type of person you're dealing with. Does this person, right? So I can even speak from my own point of view. Do I have the emotional vocabulary to be able to explain how I'm feeling when I'm feeling it? No, I don't. Right? Was I raised in an environment where it's okay to display that? No, I wasn't. Right. So if there's, I could be safe to assume if there's one me in the world, there's probably a bunch of other me's in the world too. Would I also be comfortable with trying to console or befriend another man to help them? Probably not. Is this a good thing? Maybe not, but I'm just being real with you. So on that level, some men will have that support system via other men. How they go about getting it, I couldn't say, but I don't think most men have that. If that makes sense, they would more than likely be looking to a woman to be able to find that. That makes sense.
I think that's true, but it also brings up the issue of emotional labor and how women are expected to do emotional labor for men. And I'm not saying that, I mean, men and women are both conditioned to perform such gender-based roles. I think also I take issue with the idea that male influencers like the Tate predominantly affect men, because they also do affect women too, and how we are perceived by men. Oh, we're not a high value woman because Andrew Tate said so, because we don't have certain characteristics. And so I think that it's corrupting relationships for both men and women to perpetuate such ideas, where some women will also themselves become red pilled and try to transform themselves into whatever this ideal of a high value woman is. And also,
Well,
I'm disappointed I couldn't respond to the person speaking prior, because I wanted to ask him about his perception of the Tate brothers as like Muslim or performing Islam, because according to them they're Muslim, but obviously do very haram things. So
what's up, bro?
Yo,
So, wait, but so I kind of got distracted. Lady, can you kind of summarize what you said again, please? I kind of got distracted.
yeah, of course. I was saying that I understand that men aren't expected to learn the emotional vocabulary, to use your term, to be able to seek out these resources to find mental health support, and therefore look for in women, if they're straight, that emotional connectivity. But that also expects the woman to do emotional labor for them, which in turn can build resentment in the woman, have women and men become conditioned to perform these roles in relationship, of course, but I think that still by men seeking emotional labor and emotional support for women is ultimately still detrimental to relationships, regardless if men don't have the emotional vocabulary to themselves support their own mental health needs.
I think that's legitimate, and that's a valid concern and critique. I think that there's a view that women historically have actually been, you could say, like the way you put emotional labor, it is literally like an unpaid work for some people in a very real way, raising a family, looking after not only their kids themselves but a man as well. This is traditionally true. So at that level I hear you, right? And there's not really much justifying why that should go on being that way. So I'm in agreement with that. But the other part of what you touched on earlier on about the idea of a high value woman, that's just not even something I'm familiar with. So I'd be interested to know more about that.
I mean, I don't consume a lot of Tate content, obviously, but there is this idea that women should be submissive to men, that women should look a certain way, be thin, be attractive, be concerned with their looks, and of course do emotional labor for men in the submissive sense. So yeah, I guess thinking about the impact of the Tate brothers is not solely on men, it's also on women, who they too themselves feel lonely, and when men speak to them and say, oh, I'm only looking for such and such a woman, a high value woman, they too that feel the need to transform themselves into such a woman, even though I think at the end of the day many men prefer women with their own ideals, who may not look perfect. For a lot of men themselves don't look perfect all the time, and that's okay. But yeah, I think the Tate brothers don't necessarily solely or most strongly impact men. I think it's kind of generally negative impact on dating and gender culture as a whole.
I would agree. So I'd kind of walk back what I said earlier on in terms of the pushback I was giving rap. The way I was looking at it is like, yeah, again, I'm not a watcher of take content like that, so I was more thinking about, right, who is the primary target of their audience and who's going out into the world and either transforming the world on behalf of the ideology or transforming themselves. So that's kind of what I meant by the men and boys being the most affected. But yeah, like, again, I'm obviously male, so I'm blind to female struggle to a certain extent, so I can't really say I'm entirely aware of the secondary effects. But you're right in a sense, right? But there's no, right, truth be told, right, you're correct. So there's no point me actually trying to argue it as if like I can fucking still ban it or red team it, but it's not actually the right thing to do, right? But one could
I think
also,
there's someone in your chat, sorry, that wants to argue with me, so
Ty,
maybe you could use his
yeah,
points.
you can come up, bro. Right, so now Ty's just being like openly misogynistic. You gotta be joking, bro. Learn how to cook is crazy.
I mean, he's not wrong that women also have a competitiveness, that we create these crazy beauty standards for each other. Like, do men understand different styles of makeup? Absolutely not. Will women judge each other for different styles of makeup? 100%. But I do think...
I don't think it's the women that create the beauty standards, though.
No, I'm saying like the beauty standard, like I can't really, maybe I may be wrong in this, but I can't really think of many standards men actually have on women. Like maybe you could tell me some and I can maybe agree with them, but I can't actually think of many things men actually
We say men would just take whatever. Is that what you're trying to say? You say we've got no standards.
Yeah.
You ain't lying.
Well, I
one
can think
bit.
of maybe like some
I'm joking.
universal standards, but I can't think of many. Like maybe like, you know, learn how to know how to cook. That's maybe like a good one to start with.
That's a crazy one to me. That is so old. That's crazy.
Well,
to me.
I can't think of many standards like that they have on them. Maybe you might have some.
I'm not gonna offer up myself to be sacrificed here.
I will, as a woman. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I
cool.
think in terms of what standards you're referring to, in terms of someone that they're willing to like sleep with, sure, there's not that many standards perhaps, but in terms of actually having a relationship, I think there's a lot of standards, like specifically around the body. Like, you can't be too fat, but you can't be too muscular and fit. You have to be petite in a certain kind of way that is supposed to be feminine. You have to try to present yourself to be feminine so that the masculine counterpart can be masculine and feel comfortable in their masculinity. You have to have your own opinion, but your own opinion cannot necessarily challenge that of the man, because that makes him feel insecure and feminine if you challenge his opinion and undermine him. So I think there's a lot
can I
of
just
standards
interject
that-
quickly though? Lily,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
One could argue, right? The things you're saying could also just be things you've internalized from the type of content that you consume, and not necessarily a universal or normative truth. You
I
realize
think that's
that?
true. And it's also in my subjective experience with having dated men as a heterosexual woman and their expectations of me.
Okay, like you mentioned about the body thing, right? I can maybe understand what you're saying about the body, but like, even if you're a skinny woman, like very skinny, men still don't really care. I would say the only thing that maybe, like, you know, we can probably visualize, I'm gonna assume that you guys can probably visualize somebody that's like morbidly obese. I think that's where like we draw the line where men
That's not
probably
true.
won't step there.
Not true. Right, so morbidly obese actually, like by NHS standard, actually looks like a normal person's body.
Okay, cool. Okay, maybe not
By
like that. You
actual
know,
body mass index standard, morbidly obese is kind of regular.
okay, maybe not like.
You're talking like my 900
Let's just say
pound
somebody
life
that we
type-
can
type
visually
shit.
we visually see maybe that is quite large, isn't it?
My 600-pound life.
I would say
Yeah.
that's probably where the line get, even though that's quite vague. You probably can. I'm gonna assume that all you can
But
visualize like
certain
someone
man would
who's quite large.
still, you know.
I would say that's the
I'm
only,
just saying.
maybe the only line where men actually might draw the line and not step. But if you're skinny, you're somewhere like maybe a bit bigger on the thighs and that, they probably still, even if you're skinny or you're a bit big on the thighs, you're not gonna really have much less options with men. I would say it comes to a point where you're visually big, where men kind of draw the line.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying it like.
I'm sorry for laughing, but that just come out so fucked up, man. Oh my god.
I would say that's really where they like draw the line. But yeah, I don't know. What you might have something
Oh
to
my
like.
god.
I think big people like big people, fit people like fit people, kind of thing.
Well, I think with the advent of the Tates and things like that, they're teaching men that maybe even if they're bigger, maybe even if they're not as attractive, they're still entitled to certain types of women. So I think there
Oh
is
no,
a
that's
certain
crazy.
standard for women that men don't necessarily have to be on the same level of attractiveness, let's say, and they still deserve or are entitled to attractive women.
Do you know what?
Okay, like,
I think
see how you mentioned,
there's
like,
layers in that though. I don't think that's all right. So we assume that men are out here consciously saying, no, she can't be above 150 pound, or like consciously actually making these kinds of arbitrary like
arguments.
preferences, right? That may exist in certain spaces on the internet, but I don't think many men are consciously making these things. They're gravitating to a desire that's been manufactured in them, much like women are gravitating to a desire that's been manufactured in them. Now, some could say, right, some people might still be operating on, I think it's called the id or something like that. That just base
Yeah.
drive. What I'm attracted to is what I'm attracted to, and that's it. But most people's desires are been like tamed and transformed by society and their environment. So just like how women have been swayed to like a certain type of muscularity or a certain type of dad bod or whatever, so are men, right, historically. So the men who are actively out there saying you can't be this, you can't be that, they're like extremities. They're not the average guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm
anyways.
saying. They're not the average. Maybe, okay, the average guy. He doesn't like the opinions that you're probably thinking about with men. They come from like a small subset of men. But most men are not like that, I would say. Well, I don't know what you might want to say something else. I would say like the opinions of like Andrew Tate and that they come from like a very small percentage of men. Like they represent quite a small percentage.
I mean, yeah, like
No, I do agree with that too. There's also the financial component, whereas if men in a relationship are like the breadwinner, there's more expectations of the attractiveness of the woman or the upkeep that she puts in herself. But I think referencing more my actual experience with quote unquote normal men, there is a lot of pushback against women who have their own opinions, who don't necessarily agree with all men that things that they say, and that can be unattractive and a reason that men don't pursue women for having different opinions, even though I think that it's bad to be in a relationship with someone who constantly just supports you and blindly follows your lead, so to speak, if men are considered to be a leader in a relationship.
I mean, I think that's all right. So one, you're speaking to like an entitlement that's built by other types of systems outside of just sexual attraction, just like basic like gender interaction. That those entitlements to what men may think their like financial value is linked to what type of woman they deserve in society. That's like loads to unpack. We'd get into race, we get into politics, all these kinds of things to actually unpack that entitlement. But on like on an interpersonal level, it's not a bad thing to disagree about things. Like if you're saying literally like, who am I to offer advice? I'm just a guy on the internet, right? But if you're gonna say you're finding yourself in spaces where men don't want you because you have opinions, then you've probably got some. You're either in the wrong space or you're attracting the wrong type of thing. Do you know? Because who right, so there may be some men out here that just want a robot. They just want someone who's gonna say yes daddy, like blah blah blah, right? Weird kind of mind, right? But for the most part, that kind of like dialectical tension in everything in life is what people value the most, because it creates growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I have found men who are willing to listen to my opinions, even if they're differing for them. But I'm just saying, in my experience, when I have run into these issues, I've found it strange that there exist such men who want this submissive women. So that's tying into the standards around women and trying to support my point that there are standards for how women should act, how women should think. Do all men adhere to those? Absolutely not. Do I know men who adhere to those? Sure. Are they the
What
small
classifies
minority?
them
I
as
can't really
standards, though?
say.
What classifies them as standards? Where'd you get the idea from that they're a standard?
I think just the prevalence of in culture or how we perceive relationships, is that obscured by media? Of course. Is my view of how relationships function obscured by media? Sure. Do I have like very singular experiences in which I have also seen some of this like real life looksmaxer craziness? Sure. But yeah, I think just trying to underscore the point that we have certain ideas about how women and men should behave in relationship that have been both socially and culturally ingrained in us are still prevalent, even if social media kind of exacerbates it and makes it seem more of a rampant problem that it probably is in reality.
I mean, that's fair to say, but just again, like a submissive woman, as considered as a standard, has a lot to do with, again, politics, religion, and race shit. It's not necessarily a norm. That's
I think it's also to keep in mind I'm American too. I think in Europe there's a larger acceptance of women having their own opinion. So I have interacted with like religious men, quote unquote Christians, who still believe in the traditional Christian sense of what a woman should be in a relationship. So I think particularly in America this is more of a prevalent issue than perhaps in Europe.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. I actually forgot that you're American, you know.
Some Puritan type culture shit happening. But look, I'm not saying that to dismiss that is probably a reality. But don't get me wrong. It's just alright. So the question then comes down to what should we do about it? I think that's probably the best way to approach it.
I think just modeling, like being in relationship with people who support you as a woman, supporting other women and saying, hey, if he's dismissing your opinions, you shouldn't go for him. You should go for someone who respects your opinion. I don't care how attractive he is. I don't care how much money he is. Because for women, I just do still have friends who say, oh, I don't date guys who don't make a certain amount of money. Do I still love them as a friend? Of course. Do I think they're crazy? Absolutely. So I think it is like it's not just, oh, men are the problem. It's like women also have these issues about, oh, if he doesn't pay for my nails and my lashes, I'm not going on a date with him. There's still that culture too that is prevalent. So it's not just a singularly male issue about standards. It's women's standards as well are creating an environment where they seek the type of men who aren't going to allow themselves to have their own opinions. And so I, as a woman, just need to redirect my friends and remind them that finances and attractiveness are fleeting and not like a static thing, and so that they should look for something more consistent, like personality, like values, like the actions they take to better themselves, and not just what's in their bank account.
So though you're right, what happens when your friends say, oh, why are you trying to police my dating life? Why are you trying to police my preferences? What happens then?
I think that's fair, but I mean, in relationship, it's still important, like, to have these conversations that are open and respectful, and when time and time again they have a failed relationship, just to try to support them, be like, hey, wait, let's look at all of these things. What do they have in common? Let's stop doing the definition of insanity and expecting a different result each time, you know? So eventually I do believe that they will be able to come to their own conclusion, or meet a guy who maybe doesn't have $1 billion as per your prompt, but is a decent person who can make a living for themselves. Maybe they don't make 6 figures. That's okay. You don't necessarily have to if you have a combined income. You just want someone who's ambitious, both maybe in the career sense, but also in their personal life. I think there is a push for people to want to improve themselves. There's a lot of like promotional self-help content. I think a lot of that is financially motivated, but just working on yourself deeper as a person should be more indicative of someone you want to be in a relationship with than someone who's day trading or using whatever meme coin to make themselves the next millionaire.
So that's fair, but one could also argue, right? Well, not argue, but ask, right? Why should the man have to have an income at all? If you really do care about these intangible qualities of somebody, shouldn't they trump all of these material or surface things?
I mean, in an ideal world, of course, but you still want equality in a relationship, and there's an inherent power imbalance when one person is not creating any income and the other one is, then you're financially dependent on that person. And that's why in America with divorce rates, it's difficult. Women become bankrupt overnight because suddenly, oh, they're not married anymore, they have no income or assets. So I think there's an inherent power imbalance if somebody is financially insecure and is reliant on another person, that inherently corrupts the relationship to a degree.
Yeah, but should that be the determining factor in choosing the person initially?
Not necessarily, but if they have no motivation to support themselves, I think that's indicative of larger issues.
Can you give some examples of that?
Well, I had an ex who was unable
You'd have
to
to be
work
personal.
traditionally
It'd have to be personal.
because he was disabled, but yet would not work jobs that he could be able to do because he thought were below them, and therefore was financially reliant on me to the point where it was a financially abusive relationship. So even though he had motivation to get a job, the jobs that he could do were lower than him, and so being financially dependent on me and expecting me to do things for me put a strain on the relationship to the point where we broke up. So I think that even if someone has a great personality, they still need to be able to think realistically and realize they need to support me, even if they know that they are capable of performing at a higher level. Sometimes being able to sustain oneself is also an attractive and important feature in a partner.
I mean, I would agree. I think what you're saying is valid. It's a bit sad that you had to give a personal example, and that does sound like a bad situation for both of you, I'm not gonna lie. All I was trying to point out though is regardless of how you look at it, right, there's always going to be this kind of standard that's a requirement of both sides. The only thing that I'm trying to introduce is, all right, if we're looking for the humanity in it, then we should actually be willing to look past these things, or at least work to a different solution. For instance, to say let's say that person you married or was potentially going to marry was some kind of artist, or was some kind of digital nomad, or you know, if someone who is inclined to approach economics from a non-traditional way, what would potentially hinder that relationship is their current or perceived financial standing to you, or their material reality. Now, if you was looking for a standard where humanity is what is primary, then that wouldn't even be a concern to you, because if we even look at it like historically, we have this view of man supposed to support wife, right, and all this kind of like, you know, 2.5 kids family type of shit. Truthfully, all of that was always a fantasy, like a created fantasy from like the 20s, because not all families, if hardly any, actually function that well, like this well-oiled machine. Man works, wife works, everyone's happy. Like that's kind of an illusion in terms of what reality provides. Does that make sense?
No, that does make sense, but sorry. Also, with the financial thing, let's say I find the perfect partner, but he doesn't have a job and no desire to get a job, and I support us. What if I become sick? What if I become disabled and can no longer work? Or what if, because I want children, I become pregnant and cannot work? Like this, the financial means of it's just the capitalist reality in which we live in. You have to find a partner who financially supports them. Sure, in a perfect altruistic world, would personality supersede the ability of one to financially support themselves? But that's just not realistic to the world we live in.
But one might argue you should just be broke together then. like
Broke with our children, homeless on the street.
As per the prop, though, like not to be ridiculous, I don't actually think you should be broke together, but all I'm trying to say is you can't have it both ways, right? I think it was this bit in a philosophy book about some dude called Anselm, and he was basically saying, if I can define this thing, then by me defining this thing, it should exist in reality. The same can be said about our like dating standards. Like they're far as much as a delusion as is a pink fairy or a super powered god, right? You can want these things to exist. You can say, yeah, like she should be a vegan, she should know how to dance, she should be this way, she should think this about politics, education. Like you can create all this imaginary checklist, right? Put it out there into the world as like an ad looking for this person, right? Just because you can define these properties that you desire, it doesn't mean reality will offer up this to you, right? On the man's side, on the woman's side. That's what I'm trying to say. So if what you're saying is what matters to you most is like, let's say, some kind of psychological or emotional substance, then that should be your primary concern in choosing. If what you're saying is material matters, then that should be your primary concern in choosing. But if you were to think like, now I'm going to make material as the primary concern, and then this person or this girl has to match this requirement, and at any point at which they may drop off one thing off this list, I'm gone, then you're better off not being with anybody, right? Do you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think there should also be like secondary preferences. Like, let's say my primary preferences is like personality, my secondary preference is like financial support. As long as you have some sort of financial income, whether that be working at the grocery store, or being an influencer, I don't think they're necessarily like incompatible. I think you can still have secondary preferences even if your primary preferences is personality. And I kind of understand your philosophical argument that if I can like imagine a scenario, then it can be like manifested into reality, but I think there's limitations to that as well.
Absolutely. But all I'm saying is, right, look, I don't have the answers, but you should, on both sides of the fence, men who have this unrealistic expectation of what a woman should be, how she should think, and the woman who thinks a man should be this and what he should do, right, both of you should be willing to kind of settle at some point, you know, or not at all. Just be like, I'm gonna keep going until I find this golden nugget that's out there somewhere. Or settle, because people, like, life is going to present you things that isn't the way you thought it was going to play out, but it might be better than what you thought it would be, or worse. It's like, that's all I'm saying.
I take issue with also the terminology love of your life as if there's one individual person that only you are solely incompatible or compatible with rather. And also the fact that humans fluctuate and humans grow. Like maybe your soulmate isn't your soulmate now, but they can grow into that person. So I think that maybe settling for someone who you're not happy with, not like a build a boyfriend scenario, but like that someone who is willing to build on themselves and you see their potential and support their potential, like not dating for potential, but dating for the person that you can support them to be, that they're working on themselves to become, and that you yourself are becoming someone who would be compatible with that future boyfriend, if that makes sense.
But look, I'm not saying there's a right and a wrong way. That's all I'm saying. It's really up to you. But if we like zoom out from this like kind of personal type of place where we've got like based on preferences and possible futures, and we start looking back at the bigger kind of problem. How do we tackle this perceived standard that men should meet? How do we tackle this perceived standard that women should meet? Should we eradicate it completely, or should we actually try to make it as objective as possible?
Well, I think like anything, it starts with teaching children values. And I'm not a traditional person, but I do think that women and men have biologically and socially been conditioned to have certain advantages or better abilities in certain areas of relationship. That's not a question to me. But I think just like educating children, I think current generations are too messed up, but educating children on how to find a partner, teaching them values about gender equality to a degree, and that these are the kind of things that should be important, is usually how certain cultural or social standards are unlearned. I don't know how we ourselves as adults can like recognize these biases and try to unlearn them. Is it possible? Of course, but they're also ingrained in our beings to a degree that we need to take a step back and witness ourselves, experiencing ourselves, putting forth these biases that we ourselves maybe don't agree with, but yet continue to purport consciously or unconsciously.
I mean, yeah, that either this is assuming that as adults or parents we have the capacity to even do this. Most of us don't, and most of our parents didn't either. So there's that. Remember, parents are just people. just put that out there. But
Yeah.
Rian, I don't know if you're there. I would like to hear you chime in as well, and you, Suave, if you would like, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I don't have nothing to say, bro.
You ain't got nothing to say.
He's on the good shit.
I mean, I'm just listening. I'm trying to form a opinion. I don't really have an opinion right now.
What about you, Rian? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Rian, are you listening? Are you still there?
I would say Raina. I would think it's German, maybe.
Raina. That just reminds me of Attack on Titans, damn it. I don't think she's listening or if she's even out. Right, so Lily, the floor is yours also. So any more ideas and points you want to offer?
Well, I think there's some people in your chat. Maybe you could. And I don't need to pontificate. So.
Who's in there? Who should we invite up?
Maybe GQS. He wants to talk about like the concept of maybe the love of your life.
I don't know if he's still in the stream. To be fair, I sent him an invite.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Sebastian? Oh yeah, guys over on the red app and on the purple app, if you want to actually come on stage and talk about this, you gotta go to TikTok at at SetWest10. I could always come back a little bit later on and pick it up.
I also saw you make YouTube videos. I haven't checked them out yet, but are they generally about these kind of topics?
No, to be fair, like I'm too ADHD on YouTube. I literally just make stuff about whatever I feel like at the time. So you might catch something interesting, you might catch something trash. It really depends.
Well, I mean, even trash, I mean, you're obviously very educated or well informed about things, so it could be a trash topic but a good take.
Maybe. I mean, I don't wanna upsell you, but if you ever do wanna look, then feel free to. It's just that I'm not doing YouTube the way it's supposed to be done, so it's not at the quality I think it should be.
Well, you could also just have high standards for yourself, but I think the conversations you're having here are important and hopefully can plant a seed in your head about video creation ideas because we do need more male influencers, so to speak, who come from your perspective, who think critically, who have a philosophical understanding about certain cultural and social issues instead of this bad because I think bad.
I mean, yeah, I wish I could say all those things about myself. I'll accept the glaze this time, but you know, like I'm as much of an idiot as anyone else. So why should anyone care? You know, put it like that. But not to say I won't try though. I will try, but I'll just say it. You know.
I mean, we're all idiots in a regard, but that doesn't mean that your opinion or perspective is any worse than anyone else's. I'm just saying that a lot of people have a claim that they don't support or can't support. You actually critically think, hey, how can I support this claim? Hey, what are the biases or fallacies at play here? And then you can also deconstruct your own argument and then use the deconstruction to support your argument. So I'm not saying that maybe you're an elevated idiot, but
I'll take it. I like that. Elevated idiot. I think that should be a badge. No, look, don't get me wrong. Like, if I have a problem with finishing projects, right? I start 100 things and I don't finish them. Right? I have 100 ideas and I don't flesh them out. Yeah, rap, same probably, right? So yeah, like I would love to be able to offer up like really deep thought through critical analysis on a topic and actually have it be, you know, palatable. But I just don't know if I'm at the level where I can produce that. So that's all I'm saying. So if there is anything of interest on my YouTube channel, then like more power to you if you like it. If you don't, I ain't mad because I'm not playing the YouTube game the way the YouTube game's supposed to be played, you know. So that's all I was trying to say.
But I think I'm so sick of the way the YouTube game has been playing, at least of what I see. It's always like such and such bad, or this person needs to be canceled, or this person did something horrific and you shouldn't follow them, or AI slop, or just, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just my personal algorithm, but that's kind of the content I see mostly being pushed to me about trying to think about. I'm interested in like pop cultural issues from a critical standpoint, not just, can you believe so and so said this?
See, I would like to produce that kind of content, but I find myself in a place where I'm not actually informed on what pop culture is. It could just be an age thing. It could just be I spent so much of my life trying to avoid mainstream media that I just don't actually know what's going on in that kind of way. I'd like to be informed though, I can't lie, but...
Well, I think the
It's
fact
not
that you
there.
aren't informed makes you a better critic or someone to perceive how it's being perpetuated to people who do rapidly consume it and don't realize necessarily what they're consuming and how that affects them.
Maybe, if I'm lucky. Maybe. But what do you do though, Lily? Like, why not step into the arena yourself?
I hate the way I look, so I don't want to film myself. Could I pay for whatever
Faceless?
AI or anime character thing to get more views? Maybe, but those, I don't want to do that. I study politics as a master's student, so I just like
Rate
to
that. I rate that. I rate that.
I join chats, but I don't think that having an education makes me smarter than anyone. I don't think that makes me more politically aware than anyone. I think that people who think critically and spend time as you do, like discussing with people their opinions, are still important, except for Dean Withers. I don't like Dean Withers, so.
I don't know who that is, but okay.
He's like this American political, he's like the liberal Charlie Kirk, if you will.
Okay. but look, that being said, you can still look. I do also like, not to be a bit of a dick, but I do have some concern about you saying you don't like the way you look. There's I mean, I just don't like hearing people speak about themselves in that kind of way. I don't want to get too deep into that subject, but I do think you should reconsider. Right? Why should you care about what anyone else thinks as long as you're doing what you're doing, just in that way? But there are other ways to approach it too.
It's definitely just like a self-insecurity thing and not anything anyone's projected onto me, but I think also with the beauty standards women have, it's difficult for me as a woman to feel confident in myself if I don't look like the latest viral whatever TikTok baddie or something. So
who does?
I think
they don't even look like that.
No, that's the thing. Over-consuming media of women who take injections, who have plastic surgery, I think has just made women, and probably men also, I can't speak to that, insecure about themselves more than in the historical sense.
So that should be all the more reason to do it, you know, being aware of it, not being. Yeah. Oh yeah, go Suave. Suave, you're just mumbling, bro. Speak up, boy.
My bad, bro.
Speak up, man.
I just said limiting beliefs. That's all I said.
Why? Why is it limiting belief?
Because it's something you constructed in your head that limits you from doing something that you really want to do. And it's not, it's not anyone telling you this. It's not anyone in particular. It's just you and your limiting beliefs.
I would agree.
Well, it's not like I want to create content, but...
Well, I'm saying in a general sense.
No, I understand, yeah. I think also there's a lot, like you were saying, there's a lot of editing that goes into what gets pushed popularly. I don't want to be an influencer. I guess having a space to talk about ideas, I think would be good. But yeah, I respect the amount of work technically that goes into even making a live stream like this look as good as it does.
I'll take that, but look, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I do this to be able to talk to people about ideas, not to be like, oh, I want to garner some success from this. If that was the primary objective, then yeah, I'd be going like all in terms of editing, content creation. But part of it is the ADHD thing, part of it is just laziness, and part of it is like, why should I care? Do you know, it's just, there's probably a million people who think the exact same thing and are trying to do the exact same thing anyway. Do you know? So at that level, I'm kind of complacent. But all I'm trying to say to you is, if you two obviously have a perspective, considering the amount of different people I've talked to, you are very informed as well, right? So if there is something that you would like and you can't find it, then the next step to do is to create it. You know, that's all I'm saying.
What's happening, Sets?
Welcome back, bro.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
About your creative process. You know how you said you do so many projects at once, you're editing multiple things?
Yeah.
Do you think if you stopped doing that, you would stop creating altogether, or would you actually finish projects?
It's hard to say, bro. It's hard to say. I've been like that for a very long time.
Because I have a similar issue, and I think what I had because I had 4 different channels, 4 separate things, started from like very different views, and I was trying to cast as many nets as possible. You know, the algorithm's weird. Like, if you cater to a niche, it's very good.
Yeah.
But you hit a ceiling as well within that niche. So you try and do multiple things, etc. And then what I realized is when I did lock into one thing, and I wasn't trying to do like 4 different series, it did make me more productive, but it killed a part of my creativity. Like, I feel like I'm doing things that the algorithm wants.
There you go. That's one of the things that's off-putting for me.
Yeah, and like I have a video that's like maybe stuck on like 90 views for like the last year, yeah? It's my most proud work. But then I have shit that went viral, stuff that went viral that is actually, I couldn't care less. Like, it's not fulfilling anymore. It's become a job, I guess, like a machine.
That's the, well, like, yeah, look, I did a creative, let's just put it like this, right? I've been involved with creative stuff almost my whole life, right? That is one of the biggest problems with it. If you've ideologically shifted from where you were, or like you've artistically shifted from where you were, and you notice, all right, people don't know what they want, so they want slop. They actually want bullshit.
Yeah.
You know you can make the bullshit, and you know you can make lots of it, but it fucks with you every time you do it. That's where people find themselves in this business. And people who have the grit to continue to make bullshit because people want bullshit, they will succeed, right? Now, that's not to say they are bullshit themselves. It's just that they want to play the game. They're willing to play the game.
I'll give you an example.
I don't know to tell you that.
I had like a drawing channel. Like I used to draw, and originally I would just draw stuff and give time lapses of my drawing. Over time, I would talk, and it became like this thing. But what worked was designing logos, like redesigning logos, and it's this very simple thing, but it worked on shorts. And yeah, I was feeding the algorithm over and over again to the point that there was other creators now making this same content that didn't exist. Cool, but I couldn't care less, bro. Like genuinely, it's what you said. It took something away from me each time, and now I really don't know what I originally wanted to do. Originally, there was a bigger goal.
I would also add though, right, from a personal perspective, there is also an element of self-sabotage in there as well, which I have to be absolutely honest with you about, right? There's some of us have things that have happened in our life that the minute we feel that we're about to be successful in something, we just fuck it up. Just innately, it's like, oh yeah, this is working. This is working. Fuck.
Yeah.
So there's that too. So I'm not saying that that's everyone, but that could be what you're doing also. So just saying.
Because I had other channels that were like more, like one was more based on Rap Theatre is one of them, and originally I started that because I saw rappers get pushed that were very problematic, and I didn't see enough of good stuff being pushed. And then I realized, that's a very in itself. But there's people like Akala, there's Loki, there's people who stand for stuff that could be contradictions themselves, but it's still better than whatever's pushed now. But that was a problem I found and I wanted to fill. But then even that, like, you get lost in what works and what doesn't work.
Lily, appreciate you for coming up, Lily. Appreciate you.
But yeah, I don't know. Very recently I've been locking in a lot more on these longer projects that I'm working on. But they're also not my vision, it's just other people's projects I'm working on. But that's kind of helping me feel less soulless, I guess, doing this stuff.
Fair. It's fair.
When you're on your own, it's lonelier as well. Like you said, you want to edit everything, you want to do everything. You have all this control, right? But at the same time, you have no control because you're
no parameters.
You're not putting anything out. You're not like I guess streamlining it. Would you get editors and stuff yourself?
I mean, yeah. I think if it was if it ever got to a level where it looked like, okay, I could just focus on one niche part of this business or something like that and have other people do it, yeah, probably. I think I could, but it's just, do I see myself being there? I don't know.
If you need anyone on the optimization end, like titling stuff, descriptions, and SEO and stuff,
yeah,
I promise you, I got you. Like, it's so weird. I fell in love with that. I didn't give at the first part. I was editing, I was trying to create, and I was fulfilling that side of me, and I realized I love the back end sort of shit. Like, uploading like 2 of the identical videos, right, and packaging them differently and seeing what works and analyzing that data. It's so interesting to me because
that's probably one of the most important things about all of it, because it's a platform at the end of the day.
That's it. And also, like, people talk about, engagement. People will tell you upload between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock and all this shit, right? Your specific channel, the second it was made, it had its own original data. So you might think, oh, I live in England, I need to upload between 3 and 6 o'clock because this person told me. No. But meanwhile, your first 10 followers could not be following that algorithm. You need to be garnering as much. So what I was doing was, I had a predominantly UK audience on all of my YouTube channels, and I would purposely upload at 1 a.m. and get 4 views and get that shit stuck on 4 views for like 10 hours. And I would keep doing it until that also got to like 1,000 views each. And I've now diversified this audience. So over time, I replicated that, not for timing, for different aspects, like titling stuff certain way, intentionally not following the algorithm to build a branch of the algorithm myself. And then over time, now you can just upload anything. You could upload a black screen, bro, and as long as you package it correct, it'll go.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right about that, but I've never really locked in on that side of things, and I found that I would need a larger quantity to be able to test with, which also requires me putting more work in terms of developing an idea, filming it, editing it, to be able to fuck around, you know.
But you're right in terms of a larger quantity, but you're talking about non-repetitive stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about one video as 7 shorts and 10 shorts that you upload and you've done your test. But really, the real test is what you would think is bullshit is re-uploading and like really distributing something.
The same
That's
thing.
your test. It is, but you've got a bigger data pool. Like,
doesn't it get stuck? Don't it have like ironically like a catch if you upload the same thing? YouTube kind of like downranks it.
You're right, but that's assuming you have one account.
Yeah, I guess.
And also, what I meant about your data is so unique to yourself is that the things that you do wrong give you more data, right? Like, what I clocked is I'll find this random weird niche thing that I put in a description that weirdly suppressed something, right? And now I've accumulated this list of things that suppress videos.
But how can you be certain though? That's the problem with the algorithm.
It's not. The certainty doesn't come from it's this one singular thing. The certainty comes from I've done this enough times. That's about it. So that's why I spoke about repetitive. You might think it's like working backwards and going against the algorithm, but
you know what not to do, so you know what to do.
Yeah, and there's companies trying to pay like specific versions of my YouTube channel. They're trying to just pay for analytics, and the reason I don't sell it is because I know what they're doing. It's valuable for them to take this data and replicate me and replace me, right? And that's all it is. Everyone's just trying to streamline. And what I've realized is I'll upload something that didn't do well, and it's much more valuable to me than something that did do well. For something that did do well, it's harder for me to narrow that down. But that didn't do well, and now I have a big enough list. It's cool. I really think streamlining your process is more important than like quality control. Quality control is important for sure, but that's gonna come, bro. You're gonna get self-conscious about the things you upload once you upload good stuff.
True. So, but that would also require a niche, though, right? Not just doing whatever you want.
What would you say is your niche?
There is none. That's the problem.
I'm a very similar person. Wallahi, like my whole life I've been in music, in art, in politics, in like 1 billion things, and everyone's like, jack of all trades, but then master at none.
Yeah, but master of many.
Yeah.
A man of many is better than one. Something to that effect.
Yeah, but I also think that in itself is a niche. Being a person that has all this reach in multiple places is a niche.
Well, yeah, in our digital climate, like as an individual, but it's about being able to package all of that mess into one thing that makes sense to people.
I had a conversation with the creator, and he was like, I want to be really good at this one thing. I don't exactly what you were talking about. It was Mars, actually. And I was telling him cast as many nets. And he was like, no, because then you end up becoming good at nothing. But the idea is, you're selling your personality. I was about to say selling yourself, pause. I was like, you're selling you as a personality, right? Everything that accumulates you. So you being good at and interested in multiple things is the unique factor. There's multiple guys that game like you, that look like you, that talk about certain things, but there's not multiple guys that game like you, that look like you, also love anime and philosophy, can tie it down to religion, can tie it down to politics, is from the UK, isn't from London.
This is true, but it's how you package it. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem. That packaging has to make sense to people, or at least on the surface, enough for them to click and find out.
Or they see you enough to it has to make sense. Like,
so you're saying like strong arming the algorithm, basically.
That's what everyone is doing, bro. None of these people were like, they're just here in front of our face 24/7.
It's kind of true.
It's the same reason why people in your hometown might not ever get it. Like rappers, they get famous outside of everywhere else, then they return to their hometown, or like a celebrity like KSI or someone. He was a Neek. Everyone would call him a Neek, until he's the richest guy in the world, and they're like, yeah, he's the sickest guy ever. So at the end of the day, no one will get it while it's happening, but the whole point is just to be in people's faces, especially when it's your face, when it's your personality. At some point, people are just going to be like, oh, that's set. That's
So you have to spam everyone, and that's basically what you're saying.
yeah, you have to, bro. And when it is you're selling yourself, like you're selling your personality, it's not about niche. I think as a company, you like as a conglomerate business or something, yeah, it's a niche. But your unique selling point is you, bro.
I mean, yeah, that's understandable. It's a fair take. I'm not even gonna lie, bro.
I just love what you said about packaging is what I'm good at, and what you have is what I don't have. I have faceless channels with no personality, right? Robots, right? And you have like a personality channel that doesn't have direction. So it's like,
Yeah, I guess. But it's just it's not all good though. That's the problem. Like, say I actually say, oh, I'm gonna take this project really serious. It's gonna take ages to make. Or go certain places. I've got to film stuff. I've got to edit it. Put in all this work, and then you put it up. It's like, oh well, 2 views for you.
yeah,
Too bad. It's like, all right, would you want me to keep doing that? Like, no way.
No, but once you do have, let's say, 4 or 5 videos that reached 400k, 500k, right? You know those ones you saw with 2 views, they become valuable. They become the ones that, oh, I know what went wrong. I know what I would really say I would agree with you maybe 2 years ago, and now that I've seen how this thing plays out, how these channels, like money-wise, like bun the views, bun the thing, specifically translating to money in my pocket, I promise you, the thing that will kill my soul the most would make me the most money, 100%.
Yeah.
The most mindless thing. But you're trying to fulfill multiple roles. You're saying, I'm going to edit this, I'm going to do this, I need to package this. You need other people that are thinking within those lines, so you don't have to think about those lines.
Yeah,
So if you're the
outsourcing
creator,
basically.
yeah, if you're the creator, your sole thing is to make the best thing possible. But if you're the person who's packaging everything, you're like trying to streamline. Like, no, cut this out. We need it 8 minutes, bruv. You're gonna make it one way or another 8 minutes, and then there's a like, obviously there is a shared purpose, but also those people don't fall into the downfalls of each thing. Because as a creator, you want the best possible quality. As a person who's on schedule, you want the quickest repeatable thing. As a businessman, you want the most money. Do you get it? You need those to be separated, because those goals are shared, but the means is separate.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think I would ideally go that direction, but first I need a proof of concept, and then from then it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is how I can outsource people or get people in.
You should do voiceover content, bro. You should do like little video essays or.
That's how I started.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like what, BG Media? What was it?
Nah, no, same channel, same Culture Crack channel.
Oh, you were like in public.
Nah, just be like, oh look, here's this like somewhat video essay idea. I might talk about Afro Samurai or something. Link it back to some real world problem. Just not be in the video. Just mic.
Yeah.
So, but that still requires hella editing.
It does.
And sourcing material, then edit it.
So. Nah, it makes sense. I think sourcing is the biggest thing that separates any creator from, any editor from a normal person. Like, it's like, what, you really went through that much trouble, but that's exactly what you have to do.
Yeah. And I get chop it up in the way where I don't get copyright and all this shit.
Someone explained to me, like, it wasn't someone, it was like, I was watching something, and the guy was like, the magic of movies is thinking someone wouldn't go through that trouble. Meaning, you think Superman is flying because you're not thinking that they have attached wires to the top of that skyscraper. You're like, in real life, no one would go through that trouble, right? And the entire magic of anything, like being any creator or anything, is doing going through the trouble that no one else would. That's all it is.
I feel that.
Yeah, Suave, I forgot you're there, bro. I hope you're...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
Suave is also creative.
Yeah, I'm a animator. I got my own animated series and
No way.
a
I'm
comic
gonna check
series.
it out, bro.
So
And I
I'm
do
sucking up game.
paintings and all kinds of stuff. You said what?
Should be sucking up game. Also, actually, we should be sucking up game from
Yeah.
you, to be honest. Like paused, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I'm struggling with the same problems for real. I mean, I get burnt out. You know, animation takes a very long time, so
I can imagine.
We got a whole
sometimes
team here.
it takes a month, a minute sometimes. And that's just me.
Yeah, it's true. We do have the whole team here, but
You got the
we're yapping on the internet currently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, got like
Nah, but what kind of what got you into animation?
well, I've always been an artist and I've always wanted to make a cartoon show, and just kind of the stars aligned at some point, and I made a trailer and I entered it into Adult Swim competition, and then
Wow.
they loved it, but it wasn't ready yet. And then eventually that was over, but I already had like everything to keep going, so I just kept going, and so I got a bunch of followers and a bunch of stuff in viral, and
Nah, that's
I'm still not
amazing,
there
man.
yet though.
That's actually amazing. I think the Boondocks creator got into it through Adult Swim as well. They were the first people to give him a chance. Yeah, I love that, man. I grew up on all the like golden era of anime and cartoons. And
I just met the producer in like March, Carl Jones.
of Boondocks.
Yeah,
No way.
What was that like?
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Do you know Boondocks set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not watched all the episodes. I've seen a few here and there, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of it.
He's working on a anime for starring XXX Tentacion now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's actually announced like last week. I was very confused myself, but it's kind of sick.
What's that gonna be about?
God knows. His brain is, bro. That's one of the greatest cartoons ever made. That R. Kelly episode killed me off, man. One of the greatest episodes of any cartoon I've ever seen, bro.
Yeah, you probably love my cartoon.
I'm gonna 100% check it out, bro.
That's what
And to be honest, it's rare in the UK. Like I know I've got a lot of, I draw myself and I've got a lot of creative friends, but yeah, to get to Adult Swim, that's hard, bro. Like to even get it.
Well, I'm in America, but my family's in the UK.
Ah, my bad. I thought you were from the UK, and then I realized I am talking to American.
Yeah.
He is American though, by the sound of it.
Yeah, I'm American.
Yeah. No, it's actually sick though, man. Inshallah, one day.
Hey.
I appreciate it, bro.
But yeah, Suave, I'm gonna drop you a follow when I get off and check it out, bro.
Yeah, man, you'll love it, bro.
What's it actually about though? What's the content about?
So it's called Around the Way, and it's like a black cartoon series. It's kind of like Boondocks mixed with like South Park. Like it's a satirical comedy about, you know, modern times and hood kids getting into trouble, and it's funny. Very philosophical, very satirical, very silly, everything.
And check it out, bro. 100%.
Did you say Around the Way?
Around the Way with DA.
So, okay, Around the Way. And what's like state are you from, if you don't mind me asking? Like
Maryland.
Maryland, where the best food in the world is apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Maryland. Is that Texas, right?
It's DC, isn't it?
No, it's it's around DC.
DC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like 5 minutes from DC.
That's amazing. I've never been to America. I'd love to go, but yeah, I don't know.
You gotta come, you'll love it. It's cool.
As people from the UK, we grew up with basically knowing America more than we know England.
That's a
I
fact.
barely know outside of London, like from movies, from games, everything.
Yeah, well, I've been to England once, and I've been to Scotland like 10 times maybe.
Damn, what's in
Scotland is a better
Yeah, well,
place
my
to visit.
family's from Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot better. Scotland's a lot better than London, bro. Or England.
Is it?
The views and there's stuff to do. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
being from London, what you're gonna come see the Big Ben and stare at a clock, like it's just dead. I hate the city, bro.
You're
all
lucky to be in
cities
the
have the
city,
same
bro.
thing, kinda.
Yeah, in so many in the artificial sense, but like I don't know. I appreciate going to places. I went Shrewsbury, bro. Felt like I was in. I don't know. Felt like I was in the Alps. It's like near Manchester, like with mountains and shit.
Mountains? Oh, well, yeah, I guess.
Whatever. I mean, not mountains, sorry, castles and shit on like hills and like. I don't know. I don't even know why I went there, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't lie. I've not really seen much of the UK myself, bro.
Where are you from roughly? Like
Cardox.
Okay, but you don't have an accent.
You
sound
can
like you're
find
from
out if
London.
you wanted to look, but it just where people are too
No.
lazy to do the full docs and it's not to make their job.
No,
easy.
I'm good. I'm good. I just feel like you have a London accent, so I can't really tell.
I ain't got a London accent, but
I ain't got a
southeast
London
accent.
accent. I don't know where southeast is. I swear London is southeast.
Kind of, yeah.
Even souther. What the fuck? You're in that. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You could say it's a non-regional dialect.
I just think of anyone outside of London sounds like they're from Manor or like.
Fuck off.
Fucking hell, lad. Innit, lad? Where you from, lad?
Sometimes, yeah. Accents do
But-
bleed sometimes.
My favorite accent is the Birmingham accent, bro. The Asian Birmingham accent is the greatest accent of all time.
I don't know actually. It depends
The
who's
RS3,
speaking.
brother.
What?
Bro, they have like certain lines like even when you go Birmingham, you realize they're very lucrative people, bro. They have whole strips of like businesses that run past midnight, hours and hours. Like, what do you mean I could get fresh smash burger at 5 a.m.? It's Birmingham things, bro. The men are just different.
Well, I gotta visit and find out, bro.
Like London in the 90s, that's what it feels like. And I wasn't even born in the 90s. Every time I go there, it's like time traveling.
Then I'd probably have to drive an hour or so to find the shop open at that
Serious.
at that time, probably, yeah.
Like London, that's normal, right? Like we have chicken shops that are open 24 hours. But I promise you, when I went Birmingham, there was a petrol pump. The petrol pump's shop was Dixie.
What?
Like
Dixie
the shop you
chicken
go into.
in their shop?
Yeah, you pay for your petrol and it's a Dixie chicken.
That's mental.
And then I'm like, what?
That's
And
mad.
then I went down the strip. They have smash burgers, Italian food, Chinese food, Korean food. It's 4 a.m., bro.
Nah, no thank
Everyone's
bro.
out.
You sure you weren't in the fucking they call it a service station or something?
Nah, it's GTA lobby, bro. I was in the middle of Smalley. Like, it was crazy. They've got kitted up army green M3s, and it's like an 18-year-old that can barely look over the steering wheel. I don't know what's...
You was a crime area, bro.
Bro, I have no idea.
100% crime.
It's actually nuts. I went there and I loved it. As a
100%
Londoner, I'm from South London, but this was like South London expanded.
Definitely 100% crime. 110% crime now, just playing in there. But look, I stayed quite long in it. As I gotta get on with the day. I will come back later on.
Appreciate you, man. Take care, my bro.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you, rap.
Safe
Appreciate you, Suave. Suave, I'm gonna check out that comic or that anime. Alright.
Yeah, check it out, bro. Follow me.
Yeah, I got you. Alright, folks.
Yep.
I'll see you in a bit. YouTube. See you later.